right? So he'd been gone from acting for, 25 years? Well, he's 93. And I liked what Tom Hanks
95,
said.
I thought he
actually.
was 95.
Oh, 95. Okay,
Yep.
there you go. I like what Tom Hanks said today. There has never been a Gene Hackman type. There has only been Gene Hackman. And I think that's true because you don't see younger actors and say, you know what, that guy reminds me of Gene Hackman. He was just so unique. I went back, I did this thing a couple of years ago where I watched a lot of movies from the 1970s, and I rewatched The French Connection. And he was just an intense act. Look, Mississippi Burning. That's one of my favorite Gene Hackman movies from the late 1980s. Great, great film. And, of course, we just played the clip from Hoosiers. There's all kinds of films, and we'll highlight some of this during Sue's News this afternoon. But that was one of the big stories that came, I guess it came out overnight to a certain extent. I saw it in the LA Times when I first woke up this morning. How's everyone doing? Are you enjoying the weather?
I love it. I got out and walked today. What about you, Fred?
Oh, yeah, I liked it this morning when I went out for walks with the dog.
It's so refreshing having it be nice, but I'm preparing for it to just go away, because I know that right when I'm like, this is the new normal, it's gonna go away, and I'm gonna wake up, it's gonna be 30 degrees out.
Yes, that is 100% accurate.
Well, I guess what we're looking at, like mid-40s on Saturday, and that's going to seem cold, compared to today because we got the windows open, and it's a little breezy out there, but nice and warm, and, spring is certainly on the way. March 1st is when? Saturday?
Yeah.
I got to remember this because my sister's birthday is Sunday, and then my daughter's birthday is a week from Saturday. My son's birthday is a week from Friday. There's all kinds of birthdays coming up here, including mine in about a month and a half, but we're not going to talk about that one. I guarantee you that. We'll skip that altogether. All right, we got a lot going on here today. There's a really, really interesting case that I found yesterday that went before the Supreme Court. It's a reverse discrimination case, and it's kind of fascinating because there's a woman who claims that she was demoted over a gay colleague, and the lower courts kicked this back, said no, she hasn't proved, what she needs to prove, and then the Supremes yesterday took this on in a very, very different fashion. Brad will explain that when he joins us. Even Elena Kagan, kind of said something that made a lot of people believe that the court will rule on this in a favorable way to the woman who filed the suit, and that could open the floodgates in lawsuits. So we're going to touch that. Yesterday, Sue, you mentioned that The Price is Right is celebrating its 10,000th episode. Yesterday was the 10,000th episode, and our friend George Gray, who has not been in town, I don't think, since the holidays, is going to check in with us this afternoon. Fred, I'm still confused because something happened. They're recording 2 shows in Hollywood today, and George texted Fred, said there was some sort of emergency on set. So we were going to have him at one. We don't know what happened.
He said it was a medical emergency.
Right.
So
maybe he'll be able to share some details. But I'm still confused, Fred, as to what time George will actually be on this afternoon.
George will be joining us live from the set in about 15 minutes at 3:25.
Okay, and
All
then
right.
Brad
And then Brad at 3:45.
That's perfect. We juggled it to match up with
Nice work,
George's
Fred.
schedule.
That's
Yes.
nice work.
But there's a lot of moving pieces here this afternoon. So Brad will join us a little later in the hour. We have Sue's News in the next hour. Kilmeade's going to join us in the 4 o'clock hour. I think he's traveling. He's going to be in an airport. Duane Patterson from hotair.com and hosts the Duane's World podcast. And, I haven't touched base with my friend Senator Lamping in a while. He visits with Mark usually once a week. But John and I go way back, and he will certainly have some thoughts on Doge and everything else that is happening. But I have to start with some audio here. And, some of the things that are happening in Washington really I was, Ethan, you were on with Annie and the gang, and I'm out there listening to some of the audio, and I'm just shaking my head. And if anyone was walking by, I can't believe the responses on the part of a lot of people on the left right now. Maybe I shouldn't be surprised, but, man, they're going down these rabbit holes with Elon Musk. And I really do think, and I've said this before, this Trump derangement syndrome has just manifested. What happens when when COVID, what is that thing called, when it starts into something else? What's the word? You're the health editor, Fred. Come on.
Yeah, read his mind, will you, Fred?
When a virus
when it morphs.
Yes.
Is that a good word?
Well, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Because the virus will morph. That's a good word. I'll go with that right now. Into something else completely different. That's kind of what's happened here with Trump derangement syndrome because they're so on the anti-Elon Musk front. And I want to give you some examples of this this afternoon.
It's a new strain.
Yeah, there you
go.
It is a new strain. Right. Morphed is a good word, though. I like that.
There's a reason he's a Hall of Famer, folks.
Right, exactly.
It's got that
That's
right.
exactly
Thank you,
right,
Bill.
Ethan. Thank you for pointing that out for sure.
How about old Fred Bottenheimer over there, ladies and gentlemen?
Okay, I've got to figure out which order I want to do this audio because there's a little bit of a theme here. But let me start with J.B. Pritzker. You people in Illinois, I feel so badly for you. I really do. Really, it's just Cook County. If you could just get rid of Cook County, my parents live there, my sister lives there. But again, I suggested this the other day. If we package up I don't know, Maryland, Maine, Washington State, Cook County, Illinois. We give those to Canada, and then we're kind of done with all this nonsense. Maybe that would be better for this country. But listen to this. Tell me how this makes sense, Sue. Okay, J.B. Pritzker, his fat butt in Illinois.
The things that I'm speaking out about now, about the threat to our democracy, this is not a message to win elections on. It's something people need to know. The prices at the grocery store are going up because democracy is being taken away.
Wait, what?
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 And is he the bastion for democracy? Give me a break.
But outside of that, it doesn't even make sense.
No, of
What
course
is he
not.
talking about? I mean, they want to pin Trump with absolutely everything right now. I mean, if the damn price of eggs doesn't go down in the next few weeks, there's going to be probably, a run on Washington, and they'll have some sort of mob action, just like January 6th, the way that the Democrats are talking about this right now. So that doesn't make any sense. Then there's AOC because, well, we're kind of used to her not making any sense whatsoever, but here she is ripping Elon.
Elon Musk is not a scientist. He is not an engineer. He is a billionaire con man with a lot of money. He does not have this kind of good background.
Okay. What? Billionaire? Wasn't a couple of those things redundant?
yes, of course.
Who cares if who said he is a scientist?
They have nothing else.
Right. Have we been labeling him as scientist?
No, I
all
don't
of a sudden?
believe
Oh my
so,
God, you guys are
although-
calling him a scientist, and he's not a scientist. He's just a billionaire with a lot of money, which kind of indicates he's got a lot of money when you say billionaire. You don't
I'm
have to
sorry.
repeat that.
He's
Isn't-
also tech help.
Thank you. Isn't science involved in sending rockets to the space
that's a good
area?
point.
Yeah.
That is a
Isn't
good
science
point.
involved in putting internet up into space that you can now get in rural areas?
Yes.
Did you hear what Joy Behar said
Oh,
today
that's
about him?
Ethan. Patience.
Okay, I'm
Grasshopper.
sorry. I'm
Are
just
you
getting
kidding
so
me?
excited.
Patience, grasshopper.
And Elon Musk kisses his butt and strokes his tiny ego or big ego, whatever it is. And he doesn't get to he can take a nap while the guy who's not born in this country, who was born under apartheid in South Africa, so has that mentality going on. He was pro-apartheid, as I understand it.
He's a naturalized citizen.
Right.
Now.
He's a naturalized
Now he's a
citizen.
naturalized citizen.
So listen to this. Joy Behar's upset that this is another thing, and I'm going to, weave a theme here. This is something else that's popped up in the talking points. He's not from here. He's from 3 different countries. We can't trust him.
How did he do that? Did he come over the border
He had
legally?
an H-1B visa, I
He
believe.
flew in.
Yeah, he allegedly overstayed that visa.
Yeah, but I think this is just perfectly wonderful for Trump. He can take a nap and let this foreign agent, an enemy of the United States, do his job.
What? What? An enemy of the United States? The guy loves the country, unlike the crew on The
yes.
View. But that's quite something. Oh, this continues. Let's go to Marcy Kaptur. Marcy Kaptur is a congresswoman in Ohio.
Mr. Musk has just been here 22 years, and he's a citizen of 3 countries. I always ask myself the question, with the damage he's doing here, when push comes to shove, which country is he loyalty to? South Africa, Canada, or the United States? And he's only been a citizen, I'll say again, 22 years.
Okay, now, we got smart people in the audience here listening right now. That's a member of Congress, right? Does someone write that out and tell her that that's the talking point? Because you could hear it. They send these memos out. Chaos was the word yesterday. But they got nothing. Now, I've saved the best for last, ladies and gentlemen. This is incredible. I was texting Fred with Scott Jennings this morning because I was pulling some of this audio and I was sending it to Ethan. And there's always things that just make my jaw drop when Jennings is on CNN. And they say stupid stuff all the time. And this whole Jake Tapper thing, and I highlighted it yesterday, the notion that that guy is co-writing a book with Alex Thompson about the cognitive decline of the former president is got to be the funniest thing I've heard in a long, long time. And the fact that that's not being highlighted everywhere is ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. But we've reached a Hall of Fame level here on CNN. And when I called Jennings this morning, he said, and he's been on there for a long time, he said this had to be probably the dumbest moment that he's ever experienced.
Are you serious?
Yes, and you will hear this. So there's a guy that you're going to hear here named Toure. Have you ever heard of him?
No.
Fred, you know that guy?
No.
He was on MSNBC. He's some lefty liberal that for a long time, I think he had a show on MSNBC, but he had disappeared for a long time, and all of a sudden he's making an appearance on this panel. Now he's on. Abby Phillips is one of the anchors here. This is the show that's on I think, at 10 Central, and you're going to hear Alicia Johnson. Alicia Johnson used to work for the ill-fated Harris campaign, but this is the best they have at trying to pin down the Trump administration, Republicans, and a guy like Scott Jennings on CNN and their complaints about Elon Musk.
Be real for a moment that Doge is not about cutting money, right? It's not about spending. It's about shrinking government so that it'll be too small to stop Trump with whatever else is in this plan.
Why would the government stop Trump? Isn't he the head of the government? You're saying the government would be too small to stop Trump. If Trump's the president, why would the government, the bureaucracy, be actively trying to stop him?
Yeah, those are very good questions for Toure. And the guy is absolutely stumped. And why he came out of the hole to come back on CNN, I think he's going to regret it at this point.
He is shredding the Constitution and creating an authoritarian dictatorship. That's why.
And no matter who was in office, I'm going to hold them accountable. But more importantly, I'm going to make sure the government is working for the American people.
Both of you all made an interesting point, which is that your view is that Trump is shredding the Constitution. I'd like to hear more about that. But that it seems to me that you all both believe that the unelected part of our government, the bureaucracy, has a responsibility to resist the political leadership. Is that your view?
That's not actually
That's
what
not
we
at all
said. We
what I
said they are
Yeah, it is.
upholding the Constitution, the principles of the Constitution.
No, so what Jennings is doing here is he's literally repeating their words back to them, and they don't know how to handle it. Also, here's another thing. Did they know what happened in November during the election? Have they looked at the results? Have they looked at the totals? He won the popular vote. They act like, because this is what the mainstream media is doing. They're the resistance. This is their role. Of course, they were not the resistance when Joe Biden was in office. They gave him a pass on literally every single thing. I mean, it is stunning, ladies and gentlemen. President Trump today took questions on 2 different occasions. He just got off an appearance with Keir Starmer, who's the Prime Minister of Great Britain. And, you know, he was with Macron earlier in the week. He's asking questions almost every day. They had a number up on Fox today. I mean, he's answered more questions just today, than Biden did in 4 years. Yep. And I don't think that's an exaggeration, certainly this week. So he's more transparent than ever before. I mean, they hate him. They hate that he's being successful, but this goes on CNN, and Jennings is just having a blast here.
How is Trump shredding the Constitution?
My God, he's like,
seriously, do we have to give you a civics lesson?
All right, so let me go back. How is he shredding the Constitution? Yeah. And Toure says, do you need it? They don't have an answer.
No.
They don't have an answer for it.
How is Trump shredding the Constitution?
My God, he's like,
seriously, do we have to give you a civics lesson that we have?
I don't know.
We've put all power in the executive branch, the legislative branch, the FBI. Now we're in control of the military.
This is good here. All right, are you ready for this one? The president. He's got Jennings here. He's really pinned us down. The president, Toure, is making the allegation. Think about this. That the president is in charge of our military? That can't be.
Media. This is what you do in a dictatorship.
Are you suggesting that the president is not the commander-in-chief of the military?
I am suggesting that the president is going to put in charge somebody who is going to contravene the Constitution. And at some near point, this conversation will look very silly for you because it will be obvious. And right now, you're gaslighting. When we get to the actual rubber of the road of this, it will be clear.
Okay, so Toure is made. We're going to hold this piece of audio, right? Because it's going to be very clear. You know, this is what's happening. They've been talking about democracy for how many months now? Democracy. The View says it. AOC says it. They all say it. They got nothing. This is the best they can do.
In this conversation, he's going to put someone in charge who will contravene the Constitution. Like who? What do you mean by that? The president is in charge of the military, is he not? You said he's going to put someone in charge of the military?
The president is in charge of the military. That is how it works.
Abby Phillips finally had to get in and save Toure and this idiot that was on the Harris campaign because they were just so deep into it. Like, oh, man, damn it, that's right. He's the commander-in-chief. We screwed that one up. All right, one more here.
Elected president. We, according to the Constitution, vest all executive authority in a president. And the concept that the military should be an independent agency or that the bureaucracy should resist the political leadership of this government is extraordinarily dangerous.
That's what we said. That's a straw
That's not what
man.
we
It's
said.
That's
ridiculous.
literally not what we said.
I'm just repeating back to you your own words.
Yeah, he's repeating back their own words, and that oh my God, I don't even know how to really
They
get
are
my
not
arms
very
around this stuff.
bright, and they're not well informed, and they don't know truth. They just listen to nonsense, and then repeat it, and have nothing to back it up.
Well, let's just for a moment here think about this Jake Tapper thing, okay? Just for a moment, because there are people out there. Most people don't know the hypocrisy that's at work here. They don't know. If they're not listening to a show like this, if they're not watching Fox, if they're not reading a conservative outlet, that's the majority of Americans, let's face it, they don't know that Jake Tapper, the guy that's writing a book, here, listen to him.
But Alex Thompson of Axios and I have spent the last several months talking to more than 200 insiders and officials and donors and activists, more willing to talk post-election, of course, to explain the last couple of years in politics and how we as a nation got here with never-before-heard stories from behind the scenes. You will not believe what was really going on.
Are you kidding me? Fred, this is Fred's line. I got to steal it. That's like Dr. Fauci writing a book on COVID originating in a China lab. I mean, think about it. Because, hey, do you need evidence of this? Here's some evidence. Here's Jake Tapper last year, not too long ago, defending President Biden. Lara Trump, you're making all this stuff up. This dude's fine.
Jake, is very clearly a cognitive decline.
Okay.
That's what I'm referring to. It makes me uncomfortable.
You have no. I can't. That's so amazing. It's so amazing to me that
and try and figure out an answer.
A cognitive decline.
Well, when you're trying to tell me that what I was suggesting was
I think that you were mocking his stutter. Yeah, I think you were mocking his stutter, and I think you have absolutely no standing to diagnose somebody's cognitive decline. I would think that somebody in the Trump family would be more sensitive to people who do not have medical licenses.
Listen to this.
Diagnosing politicians from afar. Plenty of people have diagnosed your father from afar.
Well, father-in-law, but can you believe that? Now, let me submit this, and I think everybody listening right now knows this is true. Let's say, for example, that Sean Hannity did something on the air where he's just, think of an analogy here. We could use the same circumstance here, right? Where he's acting as if there's absolutely nothing wrong with the person in the White House whatsoever for months and months and months, if not years and years. And then all of a sudden, Hannity writes a book. Now, I'd like to think that I'd call him out on my side. But here's what I do know. A lot of CNN would call him out.
For sure.
MSNBC would call him out,
of
right?
course.
CBS would call him out. ABC would call him out. NBC would call him out, right? The Rolling Stone would call him out. Vanity Fair would call him out. The New York Times would call him out. Everyone would call. There would be columns right now. You could just open up the New York Times, the Washington Post, the LA Times. There would be columns about the hypocrisy of Sean Hannity writing a book or co-writing a book on something that he is 150% hypocritical on. And it would be everywhere.
There's
But
no
with
doubt.
Jake Tapper, he gets a complete and free pass. It's unbelievable. All right, we're going to lighten things up, though. Brad Young's coming up a little later. George Gray's got a break on set. 10,000 episodes of The Price is Right. He is a dear friend of mine and of the show. He's coming up next.
Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Couple of stalls to mention out there. Eastbound 6440 approaching Hampton. That one in the left lane, and westbound 70 past Jennings Station Road. That one in the right lane. Now, we've got road work causing a delay. Eastbound 44 headed for 55, and eastbound 6440 is already lining up near Jefferson, headed for the Poplar Street Bridge. Westbound 44 slowing in front of the Arch. Just moderate volume, though, right now. Southbound 170, slow pockets Olive through 64. 70 westbound out of downtown is fine. It's just a little moderate volume past the airport before it opens up. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
This report is sponsored by McKelvey Homes.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan of McKelvey Homes. Have you always wished for a brand new home in an established neighborhood? Select one of our move-in ready custom homes throughout St. Louis, or we will build on your lot. Visit McKelveyhomes.com and move up to McKelvey.
All right, I want to talk about Underdog Fantasy because it's a lot of fun. My wife's been having a blast with it and winning at the Champs game. And if you're in Missouri, great news. Underdog is available to play in our state. So football has closed up for a while. We got basketball, we have the NHL, we have college basketball, we have tennis. I mean, on Underdog, you can do things with all of these sports. It's one of the leading sports apps, and you can play in Missouri right now, and you can possibly win up to 1,000 times your money. And it's very simple. All you got to do is pick whether a player will go higher or lower on baskets or on assists or on goals if you're, doing something with hockey. They've got all your leagues, teams, and stars to choose from. You can mix and match across different sports, so it can be all basketball, or you can mix it up with the NHL. You can play with as little as $1. If you get everything right, you can win up to 1,000 times your money. And here's a great offer if you've not downloaded the app or if you need to sign up for an account. Download the Underdog app, sign up using the promo code MARKR. That will unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. So join in on the fun. It's a blast. Use the promo code MARKR. Claim your special offer today. Get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly upon first deposit. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play, call 800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
Ever feel like there aren't enough hours in the day? If you get busy or miss your favorite show, don't worry. With Rewind, available exclusively on the free Odyssey app, you can stream your favorite shows on demand. You know your day is better with us. Get the news that matters to you from the local voices you trust. No matter what you're up to, give it a try. To get started, download the free Odyssey app and search for your station. That's AUDACY.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friends Mark and Neil Gelman from the Gelman team of eXp Realty. Selling your home, every situation is unique. Find the best options that are right for you from the real estate team who offer more options. 314-336-1991. Go to thegelmanteam.com.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
And this portion of the show at 3:30 sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air.
Let's show our appreciation for local heroes. Mark Cox here. Nominate a first responder and their department could get lunch from Grill Master Tony's. I'll personally deliver it. Share their story at 971talk.com. Nominate them today.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Hey, Sue, I think it was yesterday when you featured the anniversary for The Price is Right, and we did this on Sue's News, and here's what it sounded like.
Come on down to the 10,000th episode of The Price is Right.
We're giving away a lot of money today. $90,000. Started in 1972. I watched it in college, and Price is Right just stood out because there was people going bananas. Oh my God! It's a really good cross-section of America.
We've had over 75,000 people hauled on down.
We've given away over $300 million in cash and prizes. It's been one of the best experiences of my professional life.
You've heard George Gray in there with the voice. He's the come on down guy. He's with us. I think they're even taping today on set in Los Angeles. How are you? And thank you for squeezing us in. I know you're busy today.
Mark Reardon, come on down! Woo!
How are you? Congratulations on 10,000 episodes. You know, I watched this, and I think a lot of us, we talked about this yesterday. I was not in college. Man, Drew's old. Don't tell him I said that. I was, 7, 8, 9 years old watching it with my grandma in the early 1970s. I remember it very well.
Oh, yeah, the big price tags. I remember that from being a kid. But we talked about it yesterday. Hi, George. How was it, by the way, the 10,000? Did somebody get the 90 grand, or was that like all part of the prizes?
Well, we don't actually give away anything on the show. That's how we stay in business for so long. It's all smoke and mirrors. Actually, we had the very first person on stage on the. I mean, this is a spoiler alert if you have DVR'd the show and haven't seen it yet. So go la 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 right now.
Yep.
But if you've already seen it, the 10,000 episode, the first person on stage was a massive fan of the show and won $100,000.
Oh my God!
Well, that's awesome. So you would have taped that 10,000th episode when back last year a little bit.
No, we've shot it very, very recently. Yeah, super recently, and it was really it was an honor to be part of it, and yeah, it just aired yesterday. And do you know what today is? If you're a fan of The Price is Right, today is Mama May's birthday.
Happy birthday, Mama May. I did not know that.
Happy birthday, Mama May!
I
and if
should
you don't
know
know
that.
If you're listening and you don't know, I'm the announcer for The Price is Right. I say hi to my mom on the show every day by saying, hi, Mama May. She's just turned 89 today. and she is the sweetest thing since sliced bread.
Yeah, and because he does that every day, my mom holds it against me that I don't start the show saying Judy Reardon hello every day.
You're
which
right.
I
Hi, Judy Reardon. Oh, Judy is such a sweetheart. You really should start every show that way.
I should. She messages George on Instagram all the time.
I love
which
that.
is kind of cute.
Yes, she does. She's adorable. So yeah, back to the show. Absolutely amazing. 10,000 episodes. Really, really, really incredible. What an honor to be part of it. And I actually geeked out. I was talking to our director, Adam Sandler. Different Adam Sandler.
Yeah, right.
And just in case people are like, what? And I said, I wonder how many episodes I've done out of the 10,000. And he said, oh, I've got a spreadsheet. I'm like, you're a nerd.
Yeah.
And I don't have the number in front of me now. I forgot it. I remembered it for the show, but it was like 2,568 or something like that. And Johnny Olson had done like 2,800. Rod Roddy did like 2,900. And then Richfields did a smaller number than that. So basically, I thought I was going to have to do another 10 or 15 years to eclipse Rod Roddy's record. I'm going to eclipse it next year.
That's
really nuts. And congratulations, because that's great.
That is. So refresh our memory. What was your first year on Price?
2010.
Okay.
So it was November, I believe November 18th, 2010 was the first day that I taped. I figured my first day was not when it was announced or not when it was aired. It was when did I shoot it? And so I shot it November 18th, 2010. So this will be 14 years then for me. Tomorrow's our last day of shooting for the season.
Oh, that's exciting too. Okay, George, I have a weird question. Maybe it's not totally weird. Were people... did they know that it was going to be the 10,000th show? Because I know people show up every day and they want to be in and they have a super long line. Were they aware that it was going to be the 10,000th show? And did you have like a gazillion people? How did that work? Or was it a surprise?
Oh, yeah. No, this was like, when Jimmy Page and Robert Plant say we're going to get together and play one more time, we had people were doing everything they could to get in that room. We actually had the president of CBS was at the show. I mean, it was a big deal. You don't hit 10,000 every day, so it was a really big deal. We had some of the top fans of the show were in the audience. They flew in just to be here for the 10,000.
Wow!
So everybody. There was not a spare seat, and there was not a person in that room that wasn't a true diehard fan, which is nice. That's the way it should be,
Yeah.
Well, this is unfair, but I'll just ask anyway. Is there, if people probably ask you this, if you have one story that jumps out, if you're going to represent something funny on the show, is there one that kind of jumps out? Outside of you falling on the treadmill, which is on YouTube, if you want to see that, that's really good. But do you have another highlight that you might single out? Oh, yeah, you got to look at that. It's pretty good.
You've never seen it, Sue?
No, I'm going in.
That's a pretty good one. It really is.
Yes. If you're driving in your car right now listening to this, just go home and type in Google, treadmill, Price is Right, treadmill idiot, George Gray, treadmill, any of those things, and you're going to see me implode on a treadmill on Price. It went viral, and it was that definitely really sticks out as one of the funniest moments for sure. But I mean, there is so many.
Much.
There are moments every day. That's the thing. Every single day, there are moments that are just amazing, just absolutely incredible. That's why the show's been on for 10,000 episodes.
No doubt about it. All right. So more important than anything else right now, are you going to come back here to St. Louis soon? Are we going to see you? We have our Fish Fry Friday broadcast coming up. As you might remember, you were featured live at one of those doing a Price is Wrong. So, and I know you indicated you might want to go see Brian Kilmeade with us. So you coming to town soon?
I'm going to try to make the Kilmeade show because I love him. And I speak for a living, and saying Fish Fry Friday, I have to say very slowly because otherwise you're going to have to bleep me. So, but yeah, you know what? I'm going to be what I call fun employed starting tomorrow evening. So yes, I'm going to come see you, and yes, I would love to come to one of the Fish Fry Fridays.
Right,
that would be amazing.
Forward to it. We'll make sure that you know the schedule, and I'll talk to you soon. Thank you. I know you're busy today with a couple of tapings, so thanks for squeezing us in.
I'm so glad we
I'm
got
sorry,
to
I
talk.
just saw it.
Yeah, Sue
She
just
saw me on the
watched it.
treadmill. Perfect. All right, if you're listening, I love you guys. Happy birthday,
All right.
Mama May.
Love you, brother. We'll see you, George Gray. And
Bye,
happy
George.
birthday, Mama May. That's amazing.
Yes, it is.
Unbelievable. Judy Reardon's birthday is coming up on the 27th of March, so it's just about a month away. Brad Young on this very interesting case from Ohio that went before the Supreme Court on reverse discrimination. Coming up next.
Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, on the roads, it's really not too bad out there, but we have plenty of volume, and that's eastbound 44. It's just jammed. Headed for 55, we've got road work. Eastbound 6440 is lined up 170, almost to McCausland. And that we've got a report of a stall that was approaching Hampton. That's what's to blame there. But that jam now extends back near the Interbelt. Westbound 6440 is slow go. And that's Kings Highway out through McCausland. 70 looks good out of downtown. But there's some moderate volume past the airport. And southbound 270, moderate volume, but it's pockets from Page down through Doherty Ferry. And southbound 55, slow pockets south of Arsenal through Rebus Barracks. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
It's Power Torque Tools DIY days at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Save $20 on a Power Torque 248-piece mechanics tool set. Power Torque professional hand tools have a lifetime guarantee. Available only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Setting goals for your retirement is one thing, but knowing how to achieve those goals is another.
What are your wishes, hopes, and dreams? What's retirement look like for you? Because everybody, that picture is different.
For tips on building a better nest egg, listen to the All Financial Hour with Steve All, Saturday mornings at 6, here on 97.1 FM Talk.
You can also visit yourmoneymattersstl.com for more details.
God, remember when the Queen of Carpet and the Princess of Pile were flying around the arch selling flooring?
Andrea, that was the Queen of Carpet and the Princess of Tile.
Oh, that's right. But we don't need shtick here at Best Buy Flooring.
That's right, because our in-stock selection of carpet, carpet tile, sheet vinyl, laminate, hardwood, luxury vinyl plank, and luxury vinyl tile are already at low, low prices.
Come see us at our 3 area locations, North County, South County, and Metro East. Open 7 days a week.
Plus, free financing on approved credit. Best flooring, best selection, Best Buy Flooring.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide Free and Gentle provides an excellent Tide clean, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues like dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on your skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
Ever have one of those days where your gut just feels blah?
Ugh, yes.
Occasional bloating or gas could be signs that your gut is out of balance, but Align Probiotic can help. Align 24/7 Digestive Support is a daily use probiotic with a unique strain to help relieve occasional digestive issues. It's the #1 doctor-recommended brand. So when you feel the signs, it's time to try Align. Align Probiotic. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Step outside and fall in love with your backyard again. From inviting porch overhangs to durable composite decks and cozy screen rooms, Lakeside Renovation and Design creates stunning outdoor living spaces designed for relaxation, entertaining, and making memories. With expert craftsmanship and top-quality materials, your new outdoor oasis will be perfect for every season. Call Lakeside Renovation and Design today or visit lakesiderd.com to get started. Let's turn your backyard into the retreat you've always dreamed of.
Before I met my lawyer, I felt hopeless. I felt soon to be homeless. And after I met my lawyer, I got that hope back. I was like, yes, we can do this, gave me the energy to go. I just want people to know that there's always help out there. Go out there and look for it and go get it.
Visit MissouriLawyersHelp.org to learn more. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Brought to you by the Missouri Bar.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
Friday, you've heard about the Second Amendment Preservation Act, but police chiefs don't like it. We'll talk to Chief Steve Lewis at 8:35.
The Mark Cox Morning Show, weekdays from 5 to 9, right here on 97.1 FM Talk.
Hey, man, I don't feel like going to school no more.
Oh, we got Sue's News for Thursday in the next hour. I want to welcome Brad Young, our chief legal analyst, into the show here in just a moment. He's a partner with Harris, Dowell, Fisher, and Young. And this is a case that went before the Supreme Court yesterday. But before I welcome Brad in, let me kind of offer some background. They held oral arguments in a case known as Ames versus the Ohio Department of Youth Services. And this is a reverse discrimination case against someone by the name of Marlene Ames, who claimed that she was discriminated against because she's straight. So she went to work in 2004 as an executive secretary at the Ohio Department of Youth Services. 10 years later, she's appointed as a program administrator. In a performance evaluation in 2018, her new supervisor, who's gay, Janine Trim, indicates that Ames met expectations in 10 categories and exceeded them in the 11th. But then the year after that, she applies for a new position. She didn't get it. Soon after, she's demoted to a previous job where she earned just over half the hourly rate that she had been making. So she goes to federal court in Ohio. She contends that she had been the victim of discrimination based on her sexual orientation in violation of federal employment laws. She contends that the department had hired a gay woman instead of her for a promotion for which she had applied. Moreover, she alleged she had been demoted to a job that paid considerably less than her previous salary, with the department hiring a gay man to replace her. So this is a fascinating case. There's nuance to it, of course. Brad Young is going to explain all of this afternoon. This could have big implications. How are you this afternoon, Brad?
Doing great, Mark. Thanks.
This is an interesting case, isn't it? And I guess what isn't, you're going to kind of highlight some of the legal aspects of this, but she lost in the lower court, but the Supreme Court decided to hear this, and their ears were open yesterday, weren't they?
Well, they really were. And let me set the stage this way. Starting in like the 1960s and certainly into the 70s and the 80s, there was this idea that minorities or people who are in protected classes or smaller classes, those folks needed added protections because of the history of either racial or sexual or gender discrimination. And now the court has been moving. In fact, there was a decision from the late 1990s where the court held it that I think it was Justice O'Connor wrote that for the next 20 years, maybe we need to keep these protections in place. But after 20 years, we shouldn't need those ongoing protections. So in that context, we've seen, for example, in the Harvard case last year where Asians were excluded from Harvard based upon their race. And the Supreme Court said, if you want to stop discrimination on the basis of race, stop discriminating on the basis of race. And now we're seeing that same trend with regard to sexual discrimination. Before it was like there were protections for those who were homosexual or transgender, but now we're seeing these reverse discrimination cases get the court's attention because of the discrimination going on against someone in this case, which is a straight female.
So this is really interesting because, man, the floodgates can really open, but listen to some of the details here. So she not only was the person hired to replace her gay, he was just 25, and then her claim also says he lacked the basic qualifications to hold the job that she had. And then also her supervisor and other gay supervisors held a party to celebrate another gay employee's 30th year working for the organization, whereas she was called into a meeting and told she could either retire or take a job making $40,000 less than her current job. Now, in the story that I saw about this, Brad, I guess you're going to address this particular issue when it comes to the courts. I guess the way it was described is that half of the federal courts require a higher standard of proof when discrimination is brought by a member of a majority group, like straight white people, right?
Exactly. And this goes back to a 1973 decision. And this fits into that framework I just mentioned about how the courts thought that those in the majority groups, whether that's racial or sexual, those in the majority groups had a higher burden of proof than other groups. So in this particular instance, there was a reverse discrimination case in 1973, and the Supreme Court held then that folks who are straight have to prove additional what they call, quote, background circumstances,
right,
unquote, which meant that there was a higher level of proof to prove discrimination against straight people going back to 73 than there was against homosexuals. So now, though, what's interesting is in the oral arguments yesterday, even Justice Kagan, who addressed some of these issues in Gorsuch, specifically stated that, has the time ended to create different classifications of proof between straights or homosexuals? Shouldn't there be the same burden of proof for everyone, regardless of your gender, or regardless of your sexual preference, just like the Supreme Court did at Harvard? In other words, you shouldn't get preferential treatment at Harvard because you're black, and you shouldn't be impeded from going to Harvard just because you're Asian. So this fits in with that same category of the court saying we should have uniform standards for everyone, regardless of your position or regardless of your classification.
And just to frame that a little bit more, because the lower courts here ruled against her, they claimed that she failed to prove the extra level of discrimination. But what you're saying here is that the Supremes looked at that background circumstances rule, and they may just kick it to the curb.
Yeah. In fact, when you have Justice Kagan suggesting that this is the right way to go, I mean, you've got everyone. So this could easily be a unanimous decision, or it could be a 7-2 decision. But it's going to be very narrow. In other words, they're not going to make these broad strokes decision about sexual orientation. They're going to make it very narrow, but the point will be very, very clear. And that is, we have gotten past the stage in this country where we make different legal standards applicable, whether you're black or white, whether you're straight or gay, whether you're Asian or Hispanic. All of those things shouldn't matter in the courts. If justice is truly blind, then why do some groups get advantageous actions from the courts? And I do see the court here, the Supremes, saying, let's make it a level playing field for everyone.
Yeah, so Marlene Ames, by the way, for her part in this, she said this in a statement. Little did I know at the time that I filed my burden was going to be harsher than somebody else's burden to prove my case. I want people to try and understand that we're trying to make this a level playing field for everyone, not just for a white woman in Ohio. And I want your opinion on this. In the story that I saw about this yesterday, there was a guy by the name of Johnny Taylor who was quoted, who is the chief executive of a big human resources association, which is called SHRM. I'm not familiar with that. But he said this: if she wins, the flood of reverse discrimination claims will be like nothing we've ever seen. Straight white people everywhere could be filing. Now, you just indicated, Brad, that this may be a little bit more narrow instead of opening that up to anyone. But it does seem like this is going to be a significant case if the Supremes rule in the way that we think they were, because you're going to have a lot of people that might think they qualify for this.
Well, you absolutely. I mean, we could see a lot more litigation. But keep this in mind, two things. First, look at the facts in this case and flip it. In other words, let's say that the plaintiff here was homosexual and her supervisors were having parties when straight people were promoted and homosexuals were demoted. All right, that would be obvious evidence of discrimination, and that person would win. If we flip it around, we should have a level playing field for all. But let me get to your bigger question. Will this open the floodgates? Potentially, yes, but keep in mind, there still has to be evidence of discrimination, even if whether it's reverse sexual discrimination or reverse. That evidence still has to be there to the same extent that it would be for any other group or category. And to me, that's what it means when justice is blind. The same justice applies to everyone.
And this is one of those cases where the Supremes hear these arguments and then the ruling, Brad, that won't come till the summer, correct?
Yeah, this will be a June decision. No one's going to issue this any sooner than June. There's no emergency situation. No one's clamoring. There's not an election hanging on this. So, yeah, it'll be June before we know what the Supremes are going to say here.
Hey, while I have you, let me just ask you your thoughts on everything that's happened in the last couple of weeks with Doge and the freakout that continues about Elon Musk, et cetera. It's quite fascinating to watch. I still don't understand why much of the other side is so opposed to cutting federal waste and abuse and rooting out fraud, but they seem to be, Brad. It's quite fascinating and entertaining to watch here.
It really is. It is fascinating to watch. And the only thing that I will say in this instance is we're seeing some mixed court opinions, some in favor of the White House and others against the White House. But this is what no one's talking about. If this were in the private sector, there would be no question. But even government workers have additional protections over the private sector. There's something called the Civil Service Reform Act of 1978. There's also special provisions in Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and those give government employees some additional protections in government. But basically, I mean, look, every day we see companies laying off individuals when they have a loss, they're losing money, their revenue is less than what their expenses are, and that's exactly what our federal government's doing here. And I just applaud DOGE. I hope that they're very successful. But keep in mind, and we can expect the White House will lose some of these lawsuits because of these additional legal protections for government employees.
But on the other hand, they may win some of this stuff too, and they know that legal
they
challenges are coming, right? So they're prepared
Yes.
for this, is my sense.
Yes, and they are, and yes, I promise you, the White House is going to win a lot of these legal challenges, but it's not going to be 100%, and that's why we need to look at each lawsuit individually instead of just grouping them all into one big category.
All right, Brad, thank you so much for jumping on, talking some of the legal stuff, but we got to talk SEC basketball. The Tigers doing pretty well. Of course, they stumbled last weekend against Arkansas. Arkansas, by the way, beat Texas last night. Kentucky managed to slip by Oklahoma at the last second. Vanderbilt upset 12th-ranked Texas A&M, which kind of maybe helps Mizzou. We got a big game against Vandy this weekend, but this is a fun finish to this hoop season, isn't it?
Oh, man, that South Carolina game was awesome. I watched every minute and even threw a lot of popcorn at the screen cheering it on. But I will tell you this real quickly. Everyone's predicting that Mizzou is going to be a 5th seed in the tournament, but I don't think so. I think they're going to get bumped to the 4th seed because of just how well they're performing across the board. One slip. Okay, they had one slip here in the last week or so, but I'm looking for a 4th seed in the tournament.
Look, I'm going to go a step further. I'm going to go way out on the limb here, okay? Now, there's a condition. If they run the table here, if they win the next 3 games, you got Vanderbilt, you have to go to Oklahoma to close out the season, and you have Kentucky at home. If they win those 3, now some of this depends on some of these other teams, I think they can sneak into the 3 line. I really do. Now, they got to run the table here. 3 games left. If they don't do that, it's probably a 4 or 5. But there's a shot here at a 3. Just remember that I said that. Remember that I said that. Of course, it'll never come up again. If I'm wrong, it'll never come up again. Right, exactly. Thank you, Brad. I appreciate it.
My pleasure, Mark.
All right, that's Brad Young, who is our legal expert here, a partner with Harris-Style, Fisher & Young. Yeah, college basketball. Sue, I know you're not into it like I am or Brad is, but it's
fun
been
to watch.
so good. It's just been really, really good. There's so much parity out there. And Mizzou in particular, they're literally a team that can beat anyone in the country on any given day. And you can't say that for certainly a lot of Missouri teams. So that's what makes it a little exciting. Now, you probably know a little bit about this history. We are very well known, the University of Missouri basketball program, for achieving things in order to get to the NCAA tournament. And then when we get to the NCAA tournament, we lose in the first or second round.
Yeah, I get it. I went to University of Tulsa. We sometimes make it, but not often.
Tulsa used to make it a lot more.
Yeah, they did.
They were a team that was in there all the time. I don't know what happened there. Anyway, we'll take a break here. We got Sue's News coming up here, and we're going to highlight the death of Gene Hackman. We found out of his passing today, 95 years old. Brian Kilmeade is going to check in for his weekly visit in the next hour. We got Duane Patterson from HotAir.com at 5:07.
Take that sound and shake it around. Take that sound and
Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Crews have been dealing with an accident on 6440 eastbound before you get to Hampton. And this thing has been blocking the left lane, and it's created a jam behind it that goes back past 170. Hopefully you are not eastbound on 6440 caught in that. Westbound traffic, the usual volume, approaching Kings Highway out past McCausland. Eastbound 40 slowing again near Jefferson to the Poplar Street Bridge. There's an accident reported on the Illinois side, 5564 eastbound. Just before, really close to 3rd Street, we'll say that. And there's some volume behind that. 44 eastbound is jammed, headed for the 55 split. And we've got westbound 70 with some moderate volume past the airport. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Could you make $500,000 in retirement savings feel like $1 million? Or $1 million feel like $2 million? The key is having a comprehensive financial plan for taxes, Social Security, inflation, healthcare, income, and more. Discover how you could make money go a lot further in retirement in a 3-hour adult education class, Retirement Planning 101. Guys, it's Dave Glover from KMOX. This one-night class is taught by a fiduciary advisor from financial and tax architects with decades of financial planning experience. They're held at colleges and libraries throughout St. Louis. There's no cost. Just bring 3 canned goods for the St. Louis Crisis Nursery. military. If you've saved $300,000 or more for retirement, register by calling 314-350-8110. 314-350-8110. If, like me, you haven't quite had the pedal to the metal the way you should, or if you've had the pedal to the metal the entire time, either way, give us a call. We can help you out. We'll take you wherever you are. 314-350-8110. 314-350-8110 for Financial and Tax Architects.
Very popular Wellness One for many years, Saturdays and Sundays on 97.1 FM Talk. We're happy to share that we've expanded the show to 4 times a week. Yes, 4 times every weekend. Saturday at 10 a.m., Saturday at 8 p.m., Sunday at 9 a.m., and Sunday at 2 p.m. It's the same great show designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you a common sense, science-based strategy for a healthy life. So join TJ and Aaron for Wellness One. Now 4 times a week on 97.1 FM Talk.
Join Mark Patrick seminars, Lose the Weight and Stop Smoking. Early bird specials, $49.99. Seminar Sunday, March 16th, Aviator Hotel and Suites, South I-55, St. Louis. Weight loss, 11 a.m. Stop smoking seminar, 2 p.m. Or Monday, March 17th, 4 Point Sheraton, St. Louis. Fairview Heights, Fairview Heights. Weight loss, 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar, 8 p.m.
Question. Are you a maintain it before it breaks person or a wait for a problem person? Get ahead of the game or just see what happens type? Well, if you're the practical, forward-thinking sort, then get this. For a limited time, the rock-solid, fix-it-right guys at Jerry Kelly will come tune up and inspect your furnace for just $98. It's normally $143, and that's very little money for a lot of peace of mind. Check it out now at
JerryKelly.com. I'm Dr. Nick Barnes at Health From Within Family Chiropractic in Rock Hill. At Health From Within, our mission is to transform the way you manage your health by bringing you the truth about health and healing. We use proven techniques to remove interference in the nervous system and maximize health naturally, without drugs or surgery. Connect with me at healthfromwithinstl.com and join me for Maximize Living on this station every Sunday at 8 a.m. or download the Maximize Living podcast, healthfromwithinstl.com.
Attention! Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-859-5500. 800-859-5500. Again, that's 800-859-5500.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
For peace, I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. President Trump meeting with Britain's Prime Minister about the war in Ukraine, a day before Ukraine's president is due at the White House to sign an economic deal with the U.S.
The next step we're making is toward a very achievable ceasefire. We hope that can happen quickly.
The president also says he believes Russia's president will keep his word if a deal is made. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer reiterating his support for a possible European peacekeeping force.
I'm clear that the UK is ready to put boots on the ground and planes in the air to support a deal, working together with our allies, because that is the only way that peace will last.
A federal judge is ordering Trump administration officials to sit for questioning under oath about DOGE efforts led by Elon Musk to gain access to sensitive government databases. This after a lawsuit by labor unions and others. The same judge has refused to completely block DOGE access as that legal fight continues. Investigators not ruling out foul play in the death of Oscar winner Gene Hackman, found dead in his New Mexico home yesterday. His wife also dead in a different room.
There was no indication of a struggle. There was no indication of anything that was missing from the home or disturbed. That would be indication that there was a crime that had occurred.
Santa Fe County Sheriff Adon Mendoza, preliminary autopsy results finding no external trauma.
Hackman, one of Hollywood's most revered actors, starred in classics like The French Connection.
All right, Popeye's here.
Your hands on your head.
Mississippi burning Hoosiers and Superman. Tributes are pouring in. Francis Ford Coppola wrote, in part, the loss of a great artist, always cause for both mourning and celebration, inspiring and magnificent in his work and complexity.
Fox's Michelle Polino. Gene Hackman was 95. He won Oscars for The French Connection and Unforgiven. America is listening to Fox News.
Are you 50 or older? This news is for you. The CDC now recommends you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at risk. People 50 or older are over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia compared to adults 18 to 49. Just one shot can help protect you. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. That's VAXassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Our weather is quiet with temperatures dropping through the 50s for evening plans. Clear skies, 36 for the overnight low. Friday, plenty of sunshine, winds swing to the south. We are windy and warm in the afternoon. 74 the high, 80 is the record. Not even close, but well above average. A dry cold front coming by Friday night, mostly clear and down to 32. The weekend, Saturday, sunny, breezy, and chilly, 44. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
I'm Chad Robinson with Your Money Now. Paramount Global told its employees they're ending numerous diversity, equity, and inclusion policies, according to CNBC. In the memo sent to employees, Paramount says it would comply with President Donald Trump's executive order banning the practice. Initial filings for unemployment benefits hit their highest level of the year last week, in another potential sign of weakness in the labor market. The Labor Department reported weekly jobless claims jumped by 22,000. On Wall Street, stocks were lower as the Dow fell 193 points. The S&P 500 was off the pace by 94, and the Nasdaq lost 2.7%, down 530. Oil futures headed higher today after President Trump said he was revoking a license that allowed Chevron to produce oil in Venezuela. The U.S. crude oil futures for April up more than 2%, sitting above $70 a barrel. That's Your Money Now.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's I-Z-E.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts.
Okay, I want to talk about something related to the weather, ladies and gentlemen, and I want you, because it's so easy, to get a free estimate on a Generac home standby generator from Generator Supercenter here in the St. Louis area. They're in Chesterfield. They're the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. I've mentioned this a couple of times. I was up in Milwaukee for a long time, and that company, Generac, it's located in Waukesha, which is a suburb of Milwaukee. But we got real lucky. No ice storm this winter that was significant, at least here in St. Louis. But we got tornadoes right around the corner, right? Generac home standby generators are awesome because if power lines are down, if the power grid's going to fail eventually, we're all going to be in really bad shape if we don't do something like this. So give yourself peace of mind. Look, at the very least, call for a free estimate. There's no obligation, nothing like that. You can finance these generators as well, but don't wait for something to happen because then it's too late. Call Generator Supercenter for a free estimate on a beautiful Generac home standby generator. Financing is available. Call 314-499-2020 or GeneratorSuperCenterofSt.Louis.com. Again, get the free estimate. You'll know what you're going to deal with. You're probably going to want to do this because it's going to be peace of mind. And then when the power lines go down, you're going to be in much better shape than everyone else. GeneratorSuperCenterofSt.Louis.com.
Hi, I'm Tom Connors. Went to Mark Patrick's hypnosis seminar February 6, 2019. Nothing worked before. Left there and never smoked again. Amazing. Easy, affordable, and guaranteed. A year later, with my wife Michelle, attended Mark Patrick's weight loss seminar. She lost 18 pounds, and I lost 43 in 8 weeks.
It's true. He smoked 2 packs a day, and nothing worked until Mark Patrick Hypnosis. Now we're losing weight together, eating healthy, full on half the food, crazy, enjoying exercising. Who would have believed Mark Patrick Hypnosis really works?
It's amazing. I can breathe again, my blood pressure went down, and I've got so much energy.
So much energy.
And look great.
Join Mark Patrick Seminar's early bird special, only $49.99. Hypnosis designed to destroy unwanted cravings. That's right. Seminar, Sunday, March 16th, Aviator Hotel and Suites, South I-55 in St. Louis. Weight loss seminar, 11 a.m. Stop smoking seminar, 2 p.m. Or Monday, March 17th. 4 Points by Sheraton, St. Louis, Fairview Heights, Fairview Heights. Weight loss seminar, 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar, 8 p.m. Register at markpatrickseminars.com.
Annie Fry here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They are the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
What does Del Walmsley, CEO and founder of Lifestyles Unlimited, think you need to succeed in this market?
It's time to buy, and so you better get prepared, you better get educated, you better get your money right. You need to get involved because you're going to need the financing. You're going to need the vendors that we have available to us. You're just going to need the interaction with people. You need to immerse yourself into real estate.
Start your real estate immersion with a free workshop live online at lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com.
One of the things with running is I want to enjoy the run, but I never made it very far because the arches in my feet just killed me. So when I got to the end of my rope and I said I have to do something to get rid of the pain, and a couple people recommended the Good Feet store to me. I loved how I could go in and get a free personalized arch support fitting. They put that time, that work, that effort into helping you find the right arch supports. And you can walk around this store with these in your shoes and try them out before you purchase them. So after I got my arch supports, the arches of my feet stopped hurting and the pain instantly, literally instantly went away. So if you have pain, go. Find a Good Feet store and go. There is an answer. Find the simple solution that will get rid of your pain. I'm Rondi, and that's my Good Feet story.
See how Good Feet arch supports work for you before you buy with a free fitting and test walk at the Good Feet store.
Visit one of our 2 locations, Creve Coeur and Shiloh, Illinois, and at goodfeet.com.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide Free and Gentle provides an excellent Tide clean, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues like dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on your skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
Ever have one of those days where your gut just feels blah?
Ugh, yes.
Occasional bloating or gas could be signs that your gut is out of balance. But Align Probiotic can help. Align 24/7 Digestive Support is a daily use probiotic with a unique strain to help relieve occasional digestive issues. It's the #1 doctor-recommended brand. So when you feel the signs, it's time to try Align. Align Probiotic. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, this one might be one of my favorite Bengals songs, Be With You, and I bring it up because there's a brand new book. I love this band in the early 80s. They were groundbreaking, and there's a biography that just came out. We're going to have the author on tomorrow night, and I'm looking forward to this. I found this in the New York Times a couple of weeks ago. I sent this to Fred, and, you know, it was all-female group in the early 80s. They didn't have those very much, right? The Go-Go's were around. Of course, the Runaways came before that, and Michael Steele in the Bengals was in the Runaways as well. But we're going to have the author on tomorrow night here on 97.1 FM Talk. I don't know if I have her name. Do I have her name? Jennifer Otter Beckendike, who wrote the
she's
new
in
book.
London, too. So
that'll
be an adventure.
Oh, that's a plus.
Well, the way that they kind of described it here, and this is what happens with a lot of rock acts, right? They had five top 10 hits. They were really, really busting. I got a little personal connection to the Bengals that I'll share with her tomorrow night that could have taken my life in a different direction. But then they kind of blew up. They scored five top 5 hits. They stormed MTV, Manic Monday. That was a song.
Love Manic Monday.
Prince wrote that song, of course.
Yep.
Gave it to Susanna Hoffs. Eternal Flame, one of the rare era's all-girl groups, became one of the most successful female bands of all time. And then it all kind of fell apart. They say that they ended in spectacular fashion. Less than a decade after its birth, the group imploded in its manager's Hollywood mansion. And the sisterhood of its members lost among the fame and mental fatigue. So I don't know the whole story. I'm going to get the copy. Fred, I'm having problems still. They sent me a digital copy of the book, and I can't. There's a password that's associated with that, and I'm using the damn right password, and it's not working. So I'm going to hopefully read a good portion of the book before tomorrow's show. Hey, we had Keir Starmer. I like that name, by the way, Keir Starmer. That's a pretty good name, don't you think?
Yeah, it is.
I like it. I don't know anybody named Keir, but do you know who he is, Sue?
No.
He is the Prime Minister of England, and he was with President Trump today in the Oval Office for a meeting. Well, I guess they were in the Oval Office, but they do the events with the press outside of the Oval Office.
It is my pleasure to bring from His Majesty the King a letter. He sends his best wishes and his regards, of course, but he also asked me to bear this letter and bring it to you. So can I present the letter from the King to you?
Thank you very much. Am I supposed to read it right now?
Yeah, please do.
He wasn't sure.
I will do.
I've got to tell him what your reaction is, so I need to know.
He is a great gentleman. A great gentleman.
So he wasn't sure what to do, but he kept going here.
Well, that is really nice. I must make sure his signature's on that. Otherwise, it's not quite as meaningful. It is. That's quite a signature, isn't it? Beautiful. He's a beautiful man, a wonderful man, and we appreciate it. I've gotten to know him very well, actually. Yeah. First term and now second term. Perhaps you'd like to say what that very important paragraph...
Yes, so this is a letter from His Majesty the King. It's an invitation for a second state visit. This is really special. This has never happened before.
Oh, look at this.
This is unprecedented.
Wow.
And I think that just symbolises the strength of the relationship between us. So this is a very special letter. I think the last state visit was a tremendous success.
It was.
His Majesty the King wants to make this even better than that. So this is truly historic. An unprecedented second state visit. He wants to.
I guess because
That's
it's a
nice.
second state visit for the same president. Is that what they're indicating?
That's what it seems like,
That's
yeah.
very
Yes.
unique. And there's
Oh,
one
you
more.
only get
Should I
one?
play this one more here? All right, here we go.
And that says at Windsor. That's really
Yes.
something.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes. What I haven't got yet is your answer.
That's the answer, right?
The answer is yes. On behalf of our wonderful First Lady, Melania, and myself, the answer is yes, and we look forward to being there and honoring the King and honoring really your country. Your country is a fantastic country, and it'll be our honor to be there. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. President. I shall happily take that back to His Majesty.
Aw.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There you go.
I'm going to keep that one.
You're going to keep that one.
And then Trump said this.
Oh, you English are so superior, aren't you?
Hey, how about this one?
God save the Queen, man.
I haven't used that one in a while. All right, there you go. Let's do this on a Thursday afternoon.
These allegations are deeply concerning.
Does the president have any comment?
We're not going to comment.
It's not clear messaging.
No.
And now, Sue's News. Brought to you by Sue.
What are you two pointing at?
Oh, it's the Jennings stuff from last night with Touré that I played at the beginning of the show, which, if you missed it, ladies and gentlemen, it's pretty obvious that I'm going to use it for cut of the day because it's some of the best. And, you know, they have J.B. Pritzker and his fat ass up there again talking about how democracy and the threat to democracy is raising price. He's an idiot.
He can't defend that because they don't really have – they just say things. All right. I want to tell you yesterday, first of all, I got an oil change yesterday, and you know how you always tell yourself your car's driving better? And they did the tire rotation, and I got out of here last night. I went to my car. I got partway out of the garage, and my whole dashboard lit up and said, your tire is low, your tire is low, your tire is low. And I had to show a house, so I showed the house, and I limped back home. And, yep, there was something. And, of course, Michael took it off, and he said, well, there's a razor blade in the tread. And that's probably it. But guess what? He took it off entirely this morning. Of course it's the sidewall, and of course I need an entirely new tire.
Wait, and they just checked all this yesterday?
Yeah. So I must have, from Baldwin, driven over, a razor blade, I guess, did not make it through the tire. It was whatever it was in the sidewall. And that happened between there and my house in downtown.
Well, that's not fun.
No.
That's bad luck.
So I'm driving around on a spare, so it looks hoopty-ish. But he has ordered a new tire, and we'll put it on tonight.
Hey, just in case people were wondering, and I'm sure they are, ladies and gentlemen. Fred, did you hear me talk about the car alarm last night?
No.
Did you get a new battery?
Not yet, but I don't have. I need my car alarm sound effect. But honest to God, like if you're in our parking garage right now, just go jiggle the handle of my car because it's probably going to open up. Because if I lock it, the damn alarm goes off and it keeps going off. Now, Alex Rosenberger from Mastercars Inc. told me, and this is what we were talking about yesterday. Sometimes it's the battery and the key fob, but candidly, the door is locked right now. But I'm telling you, every time I lock it, sometimes when I lock it, it's been going off like crazy.
Well, just get a new battery.
Well, I didn't have time today because I had more golf balls. Fred, you know what happened, though? Yesterday, I'm hitting golf balls at the range, and I'm literally getting my, big thing of balls, and that sounds dirty, doesn't it?
It did.
That's going on a promo. I can already tell. Ethan's flagging the audio for that. And all of a sudden, the alarm goes off, and I don't know it's mine at first, so I'm that idiot over there has got the car alarm going off. Well, then another truck starts going off next to mine because I guess I set off the truck, and it was so embarrassing. I mean, I literally, when this happens, I want to say, I don't know whose car that is. Get that idiot, do something about that. But I'm going to try to get the battery tomorrow. Let's say that.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, this is National Chili Day.
Ooh.
I know, it sounds good.
I like that, yeah.
And we have some music here, Mark, because on this day in history, 45 years ago in 1980, first of all, that was 45 years ago. Let that sink in. The Doobie Brothers won Best Record and Best Song for this. What a Fool Believes.
Oh, yeah, Michael McDonald. And, a high recommendation if you have not checked out the Yacht Rock documentary. Doobie's heavily featured. Check it out. And that is on Hulu if you want to check out.
That was a nice
Yacht
job,
Rock.
Mark,
yeah.
by the way.
Yeah, I hit the post.
Beautiful
The old
post,
DJ instincts kick in every once in a while.
Well, we'd start with a little happy before we get into this, because police in Santa Fe, New Mexico, confirmed late last night that Gene Hackman, his wife, Betsy Arakawa?
I like that one.
Okay, that sounded better, didn't it? And one of their dogs had been found dead inside their home. Now, first of all, let's talk about Gene. He was 95. His wife was in her 60s. And he has won 2 Oscars, one for The French Connection in 1972, another for Unforgiven in 1993. But he's done all kinds of movies. There was only one Gene Hackman. Play whatever you'd like there, Mark. We've got a bunch.
I went back about a year and a half ago and rewatched this movie.
All right, Popeye's here. Get your hands on your heads. Get off the bar and get on the wall. What's my name?
Popeye Doyle. If he doesn't like you, he'll take you apart. And it's all perfectly legal because Doyle fights dirty.
Great movie. You mentioned Unforgiven. That's The French Connection.
Now, little Bill, you will leave me at the mercy of my enemies. Enemies bound. You've been talking about the Queen again?
Well, it's a little hard to hear some of the audio there. And then here's Gene Hackman talking about his career.
I think it's all I ever wanted to do. So few people ever get what they really want in life. It's a make-believe world, and as I say, it's what I wanted to do as a child, and I fulfilled a lot of my dreams.
You know, that's amazing.
Here's what else I like about Gene Hackman. He also played Lex Luthor. So he has all these fancy roles. I have a little bit of him as Lex Luthor in Superman. Because he had a sense of humor.
Okay, I'm
Sue's
not sure
News,
I
maybe.
see
Sue's News,
that
maybe. It's a
one.
light edition.
Okay. Yeah, here it is. It's under a different title.
Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor. Possibly you've heard the name, the greatest criminal mind on Earth.
I told you this was a puny planet.
Wait just a moment. Wait. You get to know me better, will you, please? Hey, wait! Look, I can give you anything you want. I can give you the brass ring.
The fact that he was such a great actor, serious, but also would do goofy stuff like that, that's what made you love him.
Well, I said what, there are a lot of people that are reaching out and offering condolences online and on social media and on, some of the trade publications, et cetera. But I liked what Tom Hanks said, and I retweeted this a little earlier. There's never been a Gene Hackman type. There has only been Gene Hackman. And I think that's very
quote.
accurate. Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved him in Hoosiers and in Poseidon Adventure.
Oh, yeah, we have some of that, too. Should we skip it, though? I mean, it's not...
We're floating upside down. We've got to climb up. Akers, where'd that lead to, that place you're standing on?
To the galley, sir.
Well, you stay right there. We're coming up.
That's a movie I never went back and watched. It's probably been 35 years since I've seen that one.
Okay. Well, Gene Hackman is gone at 95. They're trying to figure out what happened. It sounds to me like it's carbon monoxide poisoning. All right, Billy
By
Idol.
the way, I told you this was going to happen. Look at this.
What?
Get my, big thing of balls.
There you go.
He already did it.
Get
See,
your big
it's
thing
al-
of
it's
balls.
already. It's just like a meme. They get created very, very quickly.
Billy Idol has a new album coming out in April, and he just released the first single from it called Still Dancing. He's also still with guitarist and songwriter partner Steve Stevens. We have a little bit of it.
Our friend Tim Summer is very close with Billy
Yes.
Idol. And I think this tour is bringing him here as well.
He sounds good.
Yeah.
My home for jet black coal.
I follow him on Instagram, and he's always doing some fun stuff. So I'd like to see Billy Idol. Tim was going to come in, I think it was last year, because he was in Kansas City, and I just couldn't make that work. No, it was 2 years ago, because it was when I went to Spain. It was too close to the Spain trip. But I'm trying to see if I can get Tim Summer to introduce me to Billy Idol, right?
Yeah, heck yeah.
That's a good thing.
The album will be called Dream Into It. Okay, I need to talk about this. Okay. There were rumors about this, and now it's official. Alexa, sorry, everybody, is about to get a whole lot smarter. Amazon announced it's rolling out a new version called Alexa Plus to a handful of users in March. Then everybody else will get it over the next couple of months. It's supposed to be more like an actual assistant. And I figured this was coming, but it's nuts. They say she can do things like make dinner reservations, order groceries, book an Uber, text people, buy stuff on Amazon, get concert tickets when they hit Ticketmaster. She can browse the internet and complete tasks. One example they gave was getting an appliance fixed. She could find a repair place, set up an appointment, add it to your calendar, all on her own. And she also remembers things. Like you could tell her your family is coming over for dinner, and she might say, don't forget Fred is gluten-free or whatever. And Prime members will get it for free. Everybody else will have to pay $20 a month, but, Prime is only $15 or $16 a month. Basically, it means everybody is about to get their own virtual assistant if this is your jam.
And this is where we're heading. Let's face it. I mean, this stuff keeps getting better. I'm very curious about the way that, the purchases would work. So, like, if a concert goes on sale at 10 o'clock, do I just have to tell Alexa, hey, I want tickets for this. Get me my tickets.
When they
but then,
come on.
How do you decide? Because I'm a ticket snob. Hey, Alexa, I'm a ticket snob. I only want these tickets.
Yeah, I don't know.
But you can see where a lot of this exists. Look, Fred uses Siri all the time. Whenever you text, you use Siri, and this is just an extension of that.
It
to a certain
really
extent.
is. But boy, I don't know. We're seeing a lot of stuff in our lifetime. People with newer Echo Show devices will get it first. That's Amazon's smart speaker with a built-in screen. It has to be an Echo Show 8, 10, 15, or 21. But yep, they're going to roll that out and see how it goes. And go ahead, Fred.
Oh, you say, Fred uses Siri all the time. I thought that's the only way you do voice texting.
Well,
do you do
with
it without
an
saying
iPhone,
Siri?
no, you
Oh,
do.
okay.
Yeah,
All
no,
right.
that is the way to do it. But what I'm saying is, I think there's still I underuse the technology, even though I love my Apple.
You don't voice text that much?
Not very often. I do when I'm in the car. That's when I do it is when I'm in the car if I'm driving. But I should do it more because
I do it all the time.
I know I'm just I type things out. I don't know why.
Well, typing out is at least more accurate. I've sent some texts that make 0 sense. So, I mean, you got that going for you.
Well, that happened to me last night, actually. I sent something that was a little confusing to a friend of mine, and then they respond back, and I said, oh, yeah, don't text without your reading glasses on. Or in this case, it really was a voice-to-text, and I just didn't realize that the word was a little different.
Sometimes it's fun to see the random stuff that comes up when you don't pronounce things properly. And finally, in Stu's News, we have today's random fact. Okay, I did not know this. Louis C.K., Matt LeBlanc, and Joe Rogan were all in the same high school graduating class, the class of 1985 at Newton North High School in Newton, Massachusetts.
I wonder if they
What
had a
are the
class
chances?
clown. You know how in your senior yearbook
Yes.
they pick the class clown?
Yes.
Which one it was?
That is something. So wait, say those names
Okay,
again.
Louis C.K., Matt LeBlanc, and Joe Rogan.
That's quite a trifecta.
We're all in the same high school graduating class, 1985, Newton North High School in Newton, Massachusetts. And 12 years later, Office stars John Krasinski and B.J. Novak were both graduating in 1997 at Newton South High School.
A lot of talent out there. By the way, this was, I think, just announced today. It might have been yesterday. I love Louis C.K. I've seen him the last 2 times. When he made his kind of comeback tour, he went to the Funny Bone. Then he did a show at the Factory. He apparently, all this has come back with his audience because he's playing the Fox Theater on September 28th.
It has.
I don't know when tickets go on sale, but his new tour just got announced.
Okay. And that's it for Sue's News.
All right. Thank you, Sue. That's a Thursday edition in the books here on 97.1 FM Talk. Brian Kilmeade's going to check in with us next.
Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
We've got a report of an accident. MoDOT saying it's westbound 6440 past Big Bend on the right side. So be careful through there. It was mainly on the shoulder, and then they had to block the right lane to get rid of it. And we've had a stall eastbound 6440 before you get to Hampton. That's been blocking the left lane, and we have a jam that goes back past 170. Well, that has jammed up traffic on southbound 170, and that's back through Olive. We've got southbound 270, heavy and slow from Page. Now, this is in pockets, but it goes down through Gravois. Southbound 55, slowing in pockets south of Arsenal, down through Rebus Barracks. 44, a little slow in the Webster area. And there is some volume eastbound on 6440 headed for and crossing the Poplar. 44 westbound is jammed in front of the Arch, and eastbound 44 is jammed as you approach 55 and the Poplar Street Bridge as well. I'm Sue Thomas. That's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Every once in a while, when I talk about the Retirement Advisory Group, I like to check what the Dow did. And boy, it's been actually a rough period on Wall Street, and that's why I want to talk about Thomas Helbig and the team. But let's just see what happened today. Another day where it was down. So look, the last month in particular, the Dow is down 3%. If you look at the, let's look at 6 months right now. It's still up, but only 4.8% over the past 6 months. So there's some struggles out there in the market. And if you have a 401k and you're just depending on a traditional approach to what's happening on Wall Street, it might not be enough when it comes to retirement. That's why we always recommend a different approach, a different philosophy. They believe in safely linking to the market. What does that mean? Well, Thomas and the team can help you with that. If you show up at one of our retirement seminars, which we'll have another one to be announced very, very soon in March or beginning of April. I'm waiting on confirmation on the date, but you can go right into the office. And the website's a great resource for you because not only can you do a little research on what Thomas and the team are all about, you can, register right there for an in-person meeting, but you can find out what their philosophy is if you just want to do a little homework. I would suggest skipping all that and just going in and making an appointment. Call 314-993-9494 or online at retirementkey.com. If you're someone who feels more comfortable in a group setting, we're going to have an announcement real soon on the next seminar coming up. Retirementkey.com for the official financial planners of this show, Thomas Helbig and the Retirement Advisory Group.
Fallon, Illinois.
Window Nation customers have been singing our praises for years. With fast, local service and an industry-leading 96% customer satisfaction rating, it's no wonder.
I researched window companies for the last year to see what the average prices were and the quality of work. Window Nation nailed both.
Get 50% off all windows, plus no interest or payments for 2 years. Hurry, this offer ends soon. Schedule a free estimate now. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com. That's 866-90-NATION.
Guys, it's time to take charge of your health with my friends at Victory Men's Health. Mark Cox here. I already love what they do at Victory. They do hormone optimization, sexual health, weight loss, even vitamin deficiencies. Now they're offering specialty cardiovascular testing and even early detection cancer screening. Visit them at one of their 4 great locations, now in Sunset Hills, Town and Country, O'Fallon, Missouri, and O'Fallon, Illinois. Tell them Mark Cox sent you. Go to victorymenshealth.com.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
And this portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air.
You've got thoughts. Did you know you also have a microphone? Listen to 97.1 on the Odyssey app and click the microphone to leave a voice message. Whatever's on your mind, let us know by clicking the microphone in the Odyssey app.
She's your adolescent dream, schoolboy stuff, a sticky, sweet romance.
Sue put the headphones back on. That means she must be at least curious about the bumper music, right?
Yep.
It's the knack. Back
Love
to the
it.
70s there a little bit. Coming up after the top of the hour, he really has become one of my favorite pundits. I've gotten a chance to know Duane Patterson over the maybe course of the last 7 or 8 months. He contributes at hotair.com, does the Duane's World podcast. You know, the side note on Duane is, and this is what we don't tell people this, not because we're trying to hide it from him, but I don't have a relationship with Hugh Hewitt, and I like Hugh. I appreciate Hugh, but Duane is his main producer. Now, he does it from a remote location, but he's also, a talk guy, and he does his own podcast, and he contributes at hotair.com. And quite honestly, Sue, I think I've said this before, when I started inviting Duane to the show, I had no idea he was Hugh Hewitt's producer.
Oh, funny.
Yeah, so that's a great team right there. But he's going to join us after 5 o'clock. And then my friend John Lamping, also former Missouri State Senator. I really want to get John's thoughts on some of the things that are going on right now with Doge, et cetera. Right now, I think he's at an airport in Dallas. Brian Kilmeade, who is coming to town here in just a few weeks, will give you details on that. Hey, Brian, how are you?
All good. How are you?
Good. You've been busy this week, haven't you?
I'm forward to Washington. Now I'm in Dallas, heading back to New York. To be, it's interesting times.
Well, you're trying to sit down with as many important people as you can, I think, in 1 week. So let's go back to your visit with President Trump and talk about that. I mean, certainly we even discovered this today. He's not afraid to answer any questions, is he?
Not that I know of. I mean, the thing is, it's the Truman Show. Everything is on television, and every question is not a layup. I mean, let's talk about peace. Let's talk about war. Let's talk about the economy. Let's talk about tariffs, confrontation, the legislation. Like, all these questions are interesting.
Yeah, what did you think about, one of the things that I've noticed, and this is just kind of an optics thing, he sat down with the French President Macron, and he was with the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. It's almost like Trump out-gravitases these guys when he's in the room. I mean, Macron is one of the biggest leaders on the planet, right? But he looks kind of small in that room with Donald Trump.
He does. It's Donald Trump's home game, too, remember? So I think that plays a role in it. The other thing is Macron's coming over saying he's not playing a strong hand. He's weak politically in reality. He's got a weak military in reality. He flat out said, I tried to stop this war last time, and I was unable to. I spent 7 hours with Vladimir Putin, and it didn't work. And you know what? Maybe it will be different with Trump. So he's actually giving the gravitas away.
So he's sitting down with Zelensky tomorrow? Is that our understanding?
Yeah, today it's the UK Prime Minister. I'm sure they're going to have a presser right after at some point. So Monday, Thursday, Friday. And I think they're probably going to have an announcement within 2 weeks. He's going to have a sit-down with Vladimir Putin.
Well, I've had a lot of people asking about this, and I think I mentioned this last week. I'm no expert, nor do I try to play being an expert in foreign policy or geopolitical situations. However, one of the things I think you have to say is we're going to know relatively soon if a deal was achieved in a good way, because if he doesn't get a deal, well, then it's kind of a failure. But if something comes together here, we got mineral rights that are already, I guess, secured, and if it looks like you're going to save lives and stop the bloodshed, well, that's going to be given as a victory to Trump.
I think so. But I think we're also educated, because we know in 2014 when they stopped the fighting, it did nothing but pause the fighting and turned it into more of a guerrilla war. And then it turned out to a flat-out invasion. There's got to be something different this time. And one of the things different is we have a business presence, and it looks like we're going to have a UK, France, unofficial NATO presence. Not at the border, but it's still a tripwire. So I don't know how, unless you could sit around a circle table and say, let's try to do this again. It worked out so well. The whole world jumped off their bandwagon. Nord Stream 2 is blown up in the sea. They have to sell their oil at a discount rate to the few renegade countries that will accept it. They've lost 1 million people to a brain drain. 700,000 or 900,000 off the battlefield. 46,000 last month. Under what scenario is that success? That's got to be a heck of a spin master to do that.
I would agree with that. Brian Kilmeade is back with us this afternoon. So the Doge freakout continues. You know, all the attacks against Elon Musk, they keep making claims like it's not transparent. He's just in it, you know, to benefit himself and his companies. That's my favorite because the guy's worth, you know, $500 billion. But they're not stopping the Democrats. I just wonder if any of it is resonating because we had a situation here in Missouri with member of Congress Mark Alford on the other side of the state, Brian, and he was relatively swamped at a town hall the other night, but it was very organized by Democrats and the unions, et cetera. So I know that there's some federal workers that aren't too pleased with what is happening right now, but it looks like the president still has a ton of support in these efforts.
Does, and I don't think this is a groundswell of Tea Party groundswell, which was organic and organized and just felt building up Obamacare. This is different because I don't know what you want him to do. We're over budget. He's going in and he's getting rid of federal workers. He's making them accountable. There's 2.7 in the country. And I talked to Rich McCormick, who also had his town hall infected. And he said, yeah, I don't like the callous way in which some of this is being done, but I also think it is organized. He said, I live in a mostly R+18 district. It was all Democrats. Where'd they come from? You know, so he gets it. But he also says we could do a little bit better, and you never want a high five over someone losing a job. High five over corruption. But there's other people out there that are making $65,000 a year, counting on that paycheck and benefits. They got told that, on an email that they were fired. And that's the way it works. Look at Rachel Maddow's stuff. They got hit with a pepper staff. They gave her no notice. You know, every radio station I'm walking across the country is half full.
Yeah.
Those people are all gutted. I mean, radio in our business, the staffs are not the same. They don't get much notice. So the federal workers, in so many ways, are being treated like good and bad.
Yeah.
Are being treated like us in the private sector.
Well, I've said that. You know, I think that they've been rather more than a little insulated over the years, for sure. I'm very curious about your take on this whole dust-up with the White House Correspondents Association. Jackie Heinrich's been very vocal. She's on the board of that. I'm okay with it because I think that if you look at the history of all this, the media has changed quite a bit. I get Jackie's argument that, look, when the Democrats are in office, you're not like this very much, but if you go back a few years, there were about 400 people that were, you know, they didn't have passes. Their passes were taken away. So thoughts on that? Is the White House being unfair here to the media?
Well, I think you have a situation on the surface, so you'd say, you don't want to do this. It's a slippery slope. I do think fundamentally that's it. But you know, if I'm them and I watch 70 to 80 to 90% of all coverage on everything I do negative, you don't feel like you're dealing with a fair press. And then you say, why do I keep giving these people the front seat? Because despite that press, their impact is diminished, or else I wouldn't be president. So he says, let me start putting people up there that have alternative voices that perhaps will be fair to me. I don't like to lock them out. It doesn't help anywhere. Because at some point that Donald Trump is done, there's going to be a Democrat in there who thinks they want to send a message by locking out us because they feel as though we're conservative, or because they don't like a story or a show that we did. So I worry about the president, but this president just watched everything he did was negative forever. And he says, well, how long am I going to be a victim here? Why don't I just take action?
Hey, Brian, are you traveling because you got a show? We got to point toward the 22nd of March. We're 4 weeks away from this Saturday. I'm just telling you, and I'm not saying this for no other reason than it's the truth. I have never in my career been hit up this much for tickets. than your show. Just true story. I keep telling people, buy the tickets. I got none to give you, but this thing, we're trying to get it sold out, and I think we're getting close, aren't we?
Yeah, I cannot believe how many tickets have been sold already. I mean, it's a 1,700. There's a 1,700 seat arena.
Yeah.
I've never had an arena this big. I think we've sold 1,300. So there's some VIP tickets left. That's where we meet before, Mark. Maybe you can make it down there for that.
Yeah.
We meet before the show, take pictures and sign stuff, and we get things. But let's see if we can sell it out. I mean, we got a month to go, and I will say this: everyone's surprised by the content, and I have not really saw anyone who thought they didn't get their money's worth. And we know how loyal your audience has been, the St. Louis audience has been to our show, and how loyal they are to you. So I don't think anyone's going to be let down unless you're not patriotic or looking for inspiration and motivation.
Well, let me ask you this. I had a couple of friends of mine that I reached out to, and I was assuming that they were going to the show, and they said, "No, we're not going to go. We thought it was just going to be all politics." I'm like, I don't think it's going to be all politics. It's a variety show. So how would you kind of sell that to them? They're probably listening right now.
Yeah, it's not politics. At the end, I talk about the greatest comeback in political history. That's something I just added new. We put it together, chronicle Trump's comeback. But I also talk about the war on history. I talk about my two sports books and things that happen in life that have been beneficial to the 72 people I interviewed for the first and 91 for the second. I highlight different ones throughout. And I think that what I get is like my parents come up to me and say, now I know how to coach my kids. Now I know what to do. Sometimes to let them experience failure is the key. So I've less people talking about the legislature and the election, and more talking about the war on history, which I'm pushing back on in the year 250. And we talk about we bring certain moments in history to life, and we have 6 separate skits that have fun but highlight different moments in my 6 history books. So it was kind of a break from politics until we get to the Q&A, and if that's what people ask, they ask.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, that was a great description for sure. So I think hopefully the friends of mine and others are motivated. We got a few weeks, 4 weeks from this Saturday on the 22nd of March. It's a Saturday night in the spring in St. Louis. You can't get any better than that. Brian, enjoy the weekend and your travel, and we'll talk next week.
All right, BrianKilmeade.com. See everybody in person. Thanks, Mark.
Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, on the roads right now, we've got some volume out there. And if you happen to be traveling along 6440, which is what I've been talking about, it's a little bit of a slow go. There was an accident near Big Bend, so eastbound is now jammed back past the inner belt. And there was an earlier one the eastbound one was closer as you approach Hampton. That's been cleared. Then there was one westbound at Big Bend. That left us with a jam behind it. Also, an accident now up north, and this is on 270, just a little bit to the east of the inner belt. And traffic is just jammed behind it. We've got all lanes closed. Oh, my gosh, this is multiple vehicles involved. Thank you, by the way, to John for letting me know on Twitter about this thing. And we do have slow-moving traffic in both directions through there, and especially westbound. So, again, westbound 270 and eastbound jammed just a little bit east of 170 due to a serious accident. Now, we also have volume on southbound 270, and that's from Page. And this is in pockets, but it goes down through 21. And southbound 55 slow pockets south of Arsenal through Revis Barracks. 44 eastbound jams at 55. And a lot of volume eastbound 6440 headed for that Poplar Street Bridge. And we do have plenty of road work going on downtown. That's partially to blame. This report brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design. For over 25 years, Lakeside Renovation and Design has been St. Louis's trusted choice for transforming homes inside and out. Windows and siding to kitchens, bathrooms, and outdoor spaces. They deliver quality craftsmanship backed by lifetime warranties. Visit lakesiderd.com to start your dream project today. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
We, without hesitation, recommend that anybody work with ThrottleNet. The experience will be as good as it's been for us, for anybody, because you'll get a true partnership and you'll be able to rest easy that you're going to get the service that you need while they're also doing all those things that you don't want to have to think about, that you don't want to have to worry about. They're always doing that in the background for you.
Don't wait for your next IT crisis. If your business depends on technology, you need a partner that's got your back. Contact ThrottleNet.com to get a free IT evaluation and see how we can support your IT everything.
Taxes was not knowing your full financial picture. Now Taxes is getting and maximizing your refund all in one place. Credit Karma, where a TurboTax expert can do your taxes for you. They'll get you the most money back, guaranteed. Then you can do more with all that money, all in Credit Karma. Now this is Taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. Get started today. See guarantee details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
When you have Rhino Shield on your house, it does a couple of things for you. It beautifies the house, and it protects it from the harshest elements. And boy, do we see those here in the greater St. Louis area. You get instant curb appeal. It will stick to anything. Rhino Shield is the answer, no matter whether you're painting a home or a church or a business or a condo, because it's 100% waterproof. It takes care of the outdoor maintenance on whatever is on the outside of your home. The brick, the block, aluminum, steel, stucco. They can put this on with the 2 to 3 coat process. They're there about a week, and they do a great job. A lot of businesses have done it in the area. Several Firestones have done that. Vantage Credit Union over the years, Harlan Packaging down in DeSoto. Call Darren today and schedule your free estimate. 877-25-RHINO, easy to remember phone number, or go online today at 877-25-RHINO. Hi, it's Mark Cox. If you're thinking about selling your home, I know you have a ton of questions. Fact is, selling your home in this real estate market isn't as easy as it used to be. Just look at the headlines. One small mistake can cost you thousands. So before you sell, take a few minutes and get to know Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, just like I have. She is St. Louis real estate expert. I've been telling you about Gloria for over 5 years now. She has written guarantees that'll give you certainty and the most money in today's uncertain market. And you're always in the driver's seat. You know exactly how much you'll make on the sale of your home from the very start. That's because Gloria will guarantee upfront and in writing to sell your home at your agreed upon price, or Gloria will buy it. Take it from me. Call Gloria today at 314-325-6888 or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. Again, that's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
Dr. Naomi Wolf.
This is the greatest crime against humanity in recorded history. With Pfizer knowing that the side effects were catastrophically different, far more severe.
The Mark Cox Morning Show. Weekdays from 5 to 9. A little controversy for your afternoon. The Mark Reardon Show.
Who draws the crowd and plays so loud, baby? It's the guitar man.
That's Bread. How about that?
Wow.
Had never had Bread on the bumper music rotation, but I changed that today, Sue Thomas.
I like it.
We have, coming up in the next hour, we're going to talk a little politics, Doge, etc. with Duane Patterson, who contributes at hotair.com. Our friend John Lamping, former Senator Lamping, who's with us on the roundtable quite a bit, will be here as well. You know, the Associated Press has gotten a lot of attention this week because of their word policing, the style guide. They refuse, and this has become one of the dust-ups between the White House and the White House press corps and Donald Trump and the administration. You know, the AP puts guidelines out to make sure that reporters across the planet comply with those guidelines. So I have a real-life example today for you. There's an ABC News story following the AP guidelines, I'm assuming, and it says here in the headline of the tweet on X, formerly Twitter, a woman in Colorado has been arrested after police caught her with explosives at a Tesla dealership. The only problem with that is that it says a woman in Colorado has been arrested after they caught her, but you can damn well see if you look at the story that it's a dude.
It is a dude.
Yeah, it's a dude, okay? But you got to understand, I think this is real. Somebody put a community note that said, that's clearly a man, and it is clearly a man. But what happens is this is a real good example of the fact that ABC News and the Associated Press, and let's face it, they're all the same. NBC, CBS, they're all the same. They're more concerned bowing down to the religion of transgenderism than actually highlighting the truth of the story, maybe emphasizing the level of danger that's coming from a man as opposed to a woman, but they have to kiss the ring of the trans community first. So why do they do this? You might ask why they do this. Well, the style book, let's dig into the AP style book. And this is what reporters and anchors and people at Channel 5 and Channel 2, when they write these things, they're encouraged. Now, it's not necessarily a station policy, but again, they like to word police, right? So most outlets, stations, newspapers, they use the Associated Press guidelines. So that style book recommends using accurate, sensitive, and unbiased language when covering transgender people, Sue. It advises use transgender as an adjective to describe people whose gender identity differs from their sex at assigned birth. Avoid using transgender as a noun. Use the pronouns a person uses or the pronouns they use. Avoid using preferred or chosen pronouns. Transition. Avoid mentioning a person's gender transition or gender confirmation surgery unless it's central to the story. Well, I'd say that this is central to the story because it's not a woman. It's a dude who tried to blow up a Tesla dealership or at least brought explosives, right? It's not a woman, so it's completely inaccurate, but that's what they're following. They're following the AP style guide, and what happens on the left, and this is what, I remember this always sticks out because it's the one question I was so confused about that I asked Riley Gaines. Like, how is it possible that there are people out there? Maine is a great example. What's happening in Maine right now, we have another athlete in California that's a biological male track athlete taking, titles away from women. But I asked Riley, so how is it possible that they can't at least admit the issue of unfairness?
Right.
The
What'd
reason,
she say?
Because if they do that, the whole thing collapses.
True.
So think about it. If they admit, yeah, you know what, but that's not the way that the trans, activists or the alphabet mafia. And by the way, when I say alphabet mafia, I want to be very clear. I'm not talking about many of you who might be listening right now who are gay or lesbian. The alphabet mafia is different, and you know that. I think the gay people know that. I have friends who are gay. They hate the trans stuff. They hate it. They're so sick and tired of it. But what happens is that if you say you're a man when you're not a man, or if you say you're a woman like this person in Colorado, doesn't matter. They now identify as a woman. Because of that, we all have to bow down and we have to treat them as something that they're really not, because it's a mental illness. Now, there's something interesting happening today, and the New York Times is all over this one, of course, because they're reporting that this just came over. Let's see here. That in Iowa, this is one of those things where I kind of like to know the real story, and we'll have time to look into it. But the way that they're selling it is that the state of Iowa is removing, here's the headline here. This just came across. Iowa lawmakers pass a bill to eliminate transgender civil rights. If signed by Kim Reynolds, the Republican-backed measure would eliminate state civil rights protections for transgender. So I don't know all of the particulars of this, but what they said was, I'm trying to dig down into the story here. I think they're just changing. The bill in Iowa defines sex based on a person's anatomy at birth, removes gender identity from a list of protected groups that employers, businesses, and landlords may not discriminate against. The measure leaves in place discrimination protections for gay and lesbian people. I'd have to think through this one just a little bit because, and I think that Donald Trump has even said this, look, for me, if you want to be an adult, you want to pretend you're something else, if there is really some rare cases of gender dysphoria, that's fine. I don't really care what adults are doing as long as you're not competing unfairly against my daughter and others, as long as you're not doing something inappropriate in schools and in creating things that are not appropriate for young kids. If you want to do an adult, you want to dress up like a man, vice versa, cut your boobs off, go for it. So on this particular bill, I might have to think about it a little bit, but on the rest of it, I'm pretty clear, I think. We're coming back with Duane Patterson after the top of the hour.
If you missed anything, podcast The Mark Reardon Show at 971talk.com. Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
We've got a serious incident up north. It's an accident involving multiple vehicles. westbound 270, just east of 170. Now, they've got all lanes blocked. Periodically, they'll let one lane through. I just posted on X at Susan6768 if you want to see what I'm talking about. Multiple emergency vehicles on the scene, ambulance, fire trucks, and we have a parking lot jam behind this, and it's creeping back closer and closer to West Florissant. Please avoid that area. Eastbound drivers slowing as well, although no lanes are blocked eastbound. Northbound 170 slowing just north of 70. Southbound is slow just south of Olive down through 64. Westbound 6440. We had an earlier incident at Big Bend. Damage is done. We've got a jam that goes back well past Kings Highway. And eastbound 40 is lined up near Jefferson, little before that, headed for the Poplar Street Bridge. 44 is jammed at 55. Southbound 270, slow pockets, but it's heaviest between Page and Doherty Ferry, then some moderate volume to the south. Southbound 55, slow pockets south of Arsenal. 44 is jammed in front of the Arch. We've got moderate volume in both directions on the Poplar Street Bridge. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk. Do you ever wonder, man, I do not know if I have saved enough for retirement, and how am I going to figure that out? Well, there is a way to learn everything about this. It's actually a class for adults. It's called Retirement Planning 101. It's a one-night class. It's taught by a fiduciary advisor from financial and tax architects. They've got decades of experience in this, and they hold these things at colleges and libraries throughout St. Louis. Here's what you'll learn: how to reduce your taxes, when to take Social Security, how do I maximize that, how do I make my income feel like more, and it's free. But they ask that you bring 3 canned goods for St. Louis Crisis Nursery. There are some openings for classes this month and next. Register by calling 314-947-2012. Just call 314-947-2012.
Fox News coming up, then Duane Patterson and former Senator Lamping in the next hour, and an audio cut of the day.
Choose Syntec Full Synthetic Motor Oil, formulated for today's engines, only at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Get 5 quarts of Syntec Full Synthetic or a MicroGuard Select filter for just $32.99 in-store only. Limits apply. Learn more at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Sometimes it seems all lawmakers do is tax and spend. That's why Missouri voters passed the Hancock Amendment in 1980 to place a limit on what the government can do with your money. But the Hancock Amendment is outdated. It hasn't provided a taxpayer refund since 1999 and probably won't without reform. That's why Missouri needs a taxpayer Bill of Rights. Colorado has one, and taxpayers there have received more than $8 billion in refunds. It's simple. There should be limits on government spending and refunds when there's a surplus in the state budget. A taxpayer Bill of Rights constitutional amendment would help limit the growth of government. Missouri's budget has nearly doubled in the past 5 years, yet the state lags far behind states like Colorado in economic growth. The Hancock Amendment was supposed to protect taxpayers. Now it's time for an update and a taxpayer Bill of Rights. After all, it's your money. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Hey guys, Glover here from my friends Mark and Neil Gelman of eXp Realty. If you need to sell your home to buy a new one, it's never been more important to have an experienced negotiator that you can trust. You need my friends Mark and Neil Gelman on your side. 314-336-1991. Go to thegelmanteam.com.
Window Nation customers have been singing our praises for years. With fast local service and an industry-leading 96% customer satisfaction rating, it's no wonder.
I researched window companies for the last year to see what the average prices were and the quality of work. Window Nation nailed both.
Get 50% off all windows and 0% interest for 6 years. Hurry, this offer ends soon. Schedule a free estimate now. Call 866-90NATION or visit windownation.com. That's 866-90NATION.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
Unified in the push for peace. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. A White House meeting between President Trump and Britain's Prime Minister. One of the main topics, an end to the war in Ukraine, with the president warning if a deal isn't reached soon, it may never happen.
President Trump says while talks to end Russia's invasion of Ukraine are advanced, time may be running out to clinch a deal.
It'll either be fairly soon or it won't be at all.
The president spoke alongside British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, who promised UK peacekeepers if a peace deal is reached.
And I'm clear that the UK is ready to put boots on the ground and planes in the air to support a deal, working together with our allies, because that is the only way that peace will last.
President Trump says he thinks Russian President Vladimir Putin will keep his word in any potential peace agreement.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. Ukraine's president is set to visit the White House tomorrow to sign a rare earth minerals deal. Officials in New Mexico not ruling out foul play in the death of Oscar-winning actor Gene Hackman and his wife, pianist Betsy Arakawa.
The couple was discovered Wednesday afternoon along with their dog. The Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office says the exact cause of death remains unknown, calling it an active investigation.
Fox's Michelle Polina. The New Mexico gas company tested the gas lines in and around the home after the bodies were discovered, and at that time it didn't find any signs of problems, and the fire department found no signs of a carbon monoxide leak. Despite massive protests, the Iowa State House has approved a bill that would remove gender identity protections from the state's civil rights code. LGBTQ advocates said it could expose transgender people to discrimination in numerous areas of life. Wall Street, the Dow lost 193. The Nasdaq dropped 530. America's listening to Fox News.
Joe Montana here. In my football days, I knew the importance of a strong defense. Now I'm sharing how you can help defend your health against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease. Are you 50 or older like me? The CDC now recommends vaccination against pneumococcal disease. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at increased risk and over 6 times greater risk of hospitalization with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50. Schedule your appointment today at vaxassist.com.
Sponsored by Pfizer. Millions of Americans take medicine like Ozempic and Zepbound. Many of them are overpaying by thousands of dollars a year. These GLP-1 medications for diabetes, weight loss, and more may not always be covered by your insurance, but GoodRx can help. GoodRx helps you save every month on prescriptions at over 70,000 pharmacies nationwide. Best of all, it's free to use. Check GoodRx to save on GLP-1s. Just go to GoodRx.com/GLP. That's GoodRx.com/GLP. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance, including Medicare and other federal and state-funded programs.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Our weather is quiet with temperatures dropping through the 50s for evening plans. Clear skies, 36 for the overnight low. Friday, plenty of sunshine, winds swing to the south. We are windy and warm in the afternoon. 74 the high, 80 is the record. Not even close, but well above average. A dry cold front coming by Friday night, mostly clear and down to 32. The weekend, Saturday, sunny, breezy, and chilly, 44. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
You've been listening to the very popular Wellness One for many years, Saturdays and Sundays on 97.1 FM Talk. We're happy to share that we've expanded the show to 4 times a week. Yes, 4 times every weekend. Saturday at 10 a.m., Saturday at 8 p.m., Sunday at 9 a.m., and Sunday at 2 p.m. It's the same great show designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you a common sense, science-based strategy for a healthy life. So join TJ and Aaron for Wellness One. Now 4 times a week on 97.1 FM Talk.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money, Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Have you ever been sitting around or driving like you're probably doing right now? Man, I think I need a new furnace or an air conditioner. Have you? I mean, I think about you thinking about it all the time. Regardless of what's going on right now with the economy and with these mandates and the prices going absolutely crazy, I would have to say, without a question, the best time to buy is actually right now. No gimmicks, no tricks. 5 years, no interest on a furnace and air conditioner. Get your prices, get your quotes, get your monthly payments, and then call me and find out where you can make your choice and you can still get the so-called inefficient models. Call me, Bart Inman, one easy number, Missouri and Illinois, 314-293-2600. Again, the easiest number, Missouri and Illinois, and your only number, 314-293-2600 or bartinman.com. Now that is Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com.
The Mark Reardon Show Fish Fries are about to begin. Join me and the crew at Holy Trinity Fish Fest in St. Louis. Details at 971talk.com/events. It's Fish Fry Fridays on The Mark Reardon Show during Lent. Hope to see you March 7th.
This hour of The Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Don't you think if we had the idea, Sue Thomas, of flying in some of our favorite guests, like Duane Patterson's coming up here in a couple of minutes, to bring them in for the fish fries, Odyssey St. Louis would say, yeah, we're going to write the check. Book the travel right now, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure.
I'll pitch that to the bosses and see if they go for that. But Duane is coming up. We got former Sarah Lamping, and I have an audio cut of the day. I don't think I've mentioned yet that tomorrow is Friday. Did you know that? A little breaking news here. That means a Reardon Roundtable, and the last one before the St. Louis mayor's election on Tuesday, which, boy, I'll tell you what, I didn't give you the financials here this afternoon, but some money is rolling in for Kara Spencer and for Michael Butler, and not for Tish. So I think the days of Tish ruling our city are numbered, which is good news, but we'll talk about that all on the roundtable tomorrow with Jane Duker, Donna Behringer, and David Bartlett. So we got a bad traffic situation this afternoon, right?
Yeah, it's westbound 270, a little east of 170, and there were multiple vehicles involved. We've got all kinds of emergency equipment on the scene, only one lane getting by. And this means we've got a parking lot jam that goes back near West Florissant. It's past there. So it is a mess on westbound 270.
You know what I have from my position here in the studio?
What?
I think I have a sunshine slowdown
Yes,
because, I mean, that sun is just blaring through the window, which I'm not going to complain about that. So I'm so happy about it. And we spring forward here in about 10 days, which is good news. All right, let's welcome in our friend Duane Patterson with HotAir.com. He's the co-host, or the host, rather, of Duane's World podcast. I almost demoted you on your own podcast. How about that? Good afternoon.
Well, that wouldn't be the first time.
Hey, we would, probably be able to put it in the budget to fly you in here for one of our fish fries on Friday. You would love to do that, wouldn't you?
Oh, dude, I am so there. In my radio career, we used to go to the Great Minnesota Get Together and do state fair gigs. And I had to eat all sorts of crazy stuff on a stick and milk cows and do stuff. The whole fair circuit thing I've done before. So
I have
I'm
great
totally
memories.
into something like that.
So the Wisconsin State Fair. So this is interesting because most fairs are rural, if you will. Ours is right in the middle of nowhere. But in Wisconsin, it's more of a urban, right outside the city of Milwaukee. And we had a studio when I worked for WTMJ. We would do our show for the entire week out there. And it was literally, Duane, like, being the caged animal in the zoo, because people would come by and they'd look. And we had like a full studio. So one of the favorite things that we did is I'd be behind the console, the main console, and Mike. And my news guy, Phil Cianciola, was on the other side. And where he was, the people behind the glass could see his computer, right? So Phil would mess with people. And this was back in the era of Brett Favre, and the Packers were really good. So he'd be we had my friend Senator Jagler on yesterday, Sue, talking about Tony Evers. Well, John was back in the studio at the time, and he would type something into the computer like, hey, are you having dinner with Favre tonight? So I would sit there, and I'd have the best vantage point because I would watch the reactions, and they'd be pointing at the computer, and we just kind of like to mess with people.
That's hilarious.
Fun memories from state fairs. Let me play some audio here that's new, I think, from Speaker Mike Johnson with Caitlin Collins over at CNN. He's talking about Medicaid.
I challenge you or anybody on your staff, do a word search for Medicaid on the resolution that we passed last night. You will not find it. That is not part of this equation, okay? We're talking about finding efficiencies in every program, but not cutting benefits for people who rightly deserve that. Work requirements for Medicaid. That is something that is public opinion polls almost 90%. You don't want able-bodied workers on a program that is intended For example, for single mothers with 2 small children who's just trying to make it. That's what Medicaid is for, not for 29-year-old males sitting on their couches playing video games. We're going to find those guys and we're going to send them back to work. That's what everybody supports. That's what the Republicans are for. And by the way, we find dignity in our work. That's going to be good for everybody.
So what I cannot share on the radio because it's visual is Caitlin Collins' little sour look when he said that. But, that's the point that Republicans are making right now, that we're not slashing Medicaid, but there might be some changes. Right, Duane?
Well, there's fraud within all those 3 programs, and we heard this from Mike Johnson. We heard this from the Senate side. We've heard this from the White House, that no, we're not going to strip those programs down at all. But if there's fraud going on within them, of course they're going to reclaim that fraud. And why shouldn't they? So kudos to Mike Johnson for getting this thing through and twisting the arms he needed to get through. But you mentioned Caitlin Collins. That was really kind of one of my clips today that I used and I had fun with on X today. That you can't be CNN and miss Jim Acosta because Caitlin Collins is Jim Acosta.
She really
now.
is. Yeah.
She's assumed the role.
Yes, she has. They're all, I played some of the audio, and I'm going to use this for audio cut of the day, so I won't play it now. But did you see the segment with Scott Jennings last night and Toure?
I did indeed. Toure is now concerned that the Constitution is upended and we are actually in a dictatorship because 2 things have happened. The FBI and the military are saluting the commander-in-chief.
Yeah.
And that alone is grounds for chaos and concern.
Toure seemed very confused, and Jennings had to kind of educate him that the guy who's in the White House right now, Donald J. Trump, he's actually the commander-in-chief of the military. Toure didn't realize that. That was like a little constitutional education for him on CNN last night. But it's stunning because they're all, fall on the same stuff with Elon. They're calling him out now. Here's the new talking point, that he's not really even from this country. He's got different loyalties from Canada and South Africa. I heard Marcy Kaptur from Ohio say that today.
I was just going to mention her if you didn't. Yeah, she comes out and holds a part of a press conference, and she's been in the House since
long time.
Since Robert Byrd was 50. She's been in the House of Representatives, and Marcy Kaptur actually said, "Well, he's only been in the country for 20 years. Now he's a citizen, but." We don't know where his loyalties lie. She pulled the Professor Snape at Quirrell in Harry Potter, right?
Let me play the audio here because I have this one.
Mr. Musk has just been here 22 years, and he's a citizen of 3 countries. I always ask myself the question, with the damage he's doing here, when push comes to shove, which country is he loyalty to? South Africa? Canada? Or the United States? And he's only been a citizen, I'll say again, 22 years.
So that in The View even picked up on that. I guess they think that's going to stick because again, the memo goes out on all this stuff. Democracy is going to be ruined. And then the word this week was chaos. And now it's Elon is from 3 different countries. We can't trust him.
And this is especially priceless coming from the left that just spent 4 years trying to open the southern border wide open so that 12, 15 million people could stream in here illegally. And that they could try to do the quickest job they could to let them vote and give them amnesty.
Yeah.
They had no problems about that at all whatsoever, as long as they thought they knew how they were going to vote. But boy, Elon Musk, we've got to question his loyalties because he's killing us, don't you know?
I want to get back to some of the media stuff in a second, but let me ask you this because Duane Patterson is my guest. You're rather tied into a lot of the things in the swamp and people on Capitol Hill. Are you sensing any kind of Republican concern or panic behind the scenes, specifically related to Doge?
I am really not. We just talked to Ted Cruz today, and Ted was pretty robust in his defense of what Elon Musk is doing. And look, you're going to need somebody to come in and break the furniture and mess things up. Is he going to overreach at some place, and are some things going to happen that need to get glued back together again? Of course. But in a federal bureaucracy the size that we're dealing with, you've got to go in and you've got to break the furniture. You just do.
Well, what did you think? They made such a big deal. I think this is now quieted down. But the first 3 days of the news week were spent on this email that was sent. asking federal workers to justify what they did, actually kind of just seeing if they were going to respond. But you would have thought that he just drowned a bag of puppies on national TV.
So I'll give you a preview of what I'm going to record a little bit later on my Duane's World podcast. It's going to drop tomorrow. It's the top 10 dumb things of the week. It's kind of a recurring thing I've been starting to do now.
And I love it. I've been following that, yeah.
The number one, and we don't even know her name. She's on X. She claims to be a federal worker, and she took to X, and she's just in hysterics over this email, over this. You've got to justify what you did in bullet points for the last week. You have 4 or 5 items of what you did last week. She actually said that, I think I now know what it's like to have to live in North Korea.
Oh, yeah, I saw this.
Draconian.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, you've got to be, I'm thinking about Team America at this point and trying to think of the I'm so Ronery bit, right?
Yeah.
Let's really talk about what life might be like in North Korea for this person. Or maybe a North Korea soldier who was used as cannon fodder on the Ukraine-Russia war front. Please, you're having to do a 30-second email with 5 bullet points of what you did last week, and you spent more time than that proving that you're an idiot.
I'm just, look, and I don't want to have a complete lack of empathy, although I'm probably tagged with that a lot. I'm sure there are a lot of federal workers that are doing their job. We need them, and that's great. But look, they've been insulated from this over the decades. That's why it's so tough for them, because those of us, certainly if you work in media, you've had to confront layoffs. If you work at Southwest Airlines, you've had to confront layoffs. If you work at a variety Starbucks, you've had to confront layoffs. But the people in city, state, local, federal government, they don't ever have to worry about that until now.
Mark, if you do not perform at your job, and that can result in either ratings, that can result in the number of sponsors or response to sponsors. If you don't perform over the course of 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, how long before the station makes a change?
Not very long.
Right. Same with me. Same with us. You've got to perform. You don't have a right to a job. Just because you're a federal worker doesn't mean you're there for life. It doesn't work that way. That's not reality.
I had a federal worker that was engaging me on Twitter, and I appreciate the engagement. I was responding, going back and forth, and he said, look, I'm a federal worker. I've worked hard, and, he referred to his pension because you do have to make contributions to the pension, and I get all that. But my point was, look, like majority of the Americans out there, they don't have pensions anymore. I do because I belong to SAG-AFTRA, so I actually have a pension. But for most people, they don't get the average of their last 3 years' salary for the rest of their lives.
Right. That's exactly right. And so it's kind of hard to the empathy part, yeah. Might they have to actually go through a change? Yes. Do you know that the average person has to change jobs and change careers sometimes every 5, 6, 7 years? I mean, just because you're there doesn't mean that you're locked into a golden parachute forever. That's not how life works.
Apparently they think it is. All right, let's segue back to the media here, because this has got to be my favorite. And if there aren't more people this weekend like Bill Maher and others that highlight Jake Tapper's Hall of Fame level hypocrisy on the issue of Joe Biden not being able to, be awake in the Oval Office, it's unbelievable.
Alex Thompson of Axios and I have spent the last several months talking to more than 200 insiders and officials and donors and activists, more willing to talk post-election, of course, to explain the last couple of years in politics and how we as a nation got here. We've never before heard stories from behind the scenes you will not believe what was really going on.
Ain't that great?
I mean, I don't even know how to respond to that.
Oh,
Does the guy not know what he has done in the past relating to ignoring this whole deal with Biden?
Jake, Bible paper skin Tapper. I mean, he has got among the thinnest skin of anybody in the game, okay? I'm just telling you he does.
Oh,
now,
I believe it.
Here's the thing about Jake Tapper and this book that's coming out. I'm going to read it, and the reason I'm going to read it is because Alex Thompson actually is a pretty good reporter.
Yep.
And he was one of the first guys to the Post of covering what was going on with Biden's decline. And so I'm actually curious to see what he has to say. as far as Jake Tapper trying to now make money on the deal and rehab his credibility at the same time, or attempt to, look, this is like a tell-all book into the Russiagate story and what went wrong and who the bad actors are, and have Adam Schiff write that book.
Yeah.
Right? It's literally having the arsonist write the expose book on how the fire started.
Yeah. Fred, my producer, you know Fred because he
Oh, yeah.
always gets with. He says like Dr. Fauci writing a book on the lab leak theory.
Yes, yeah,
Right.
or Francis Collins on gain of function and
NIH, yeah.
Yeah, it's staggeringly hypocritical.
You know,
and
part of this, I want to kind of put a little, maybe you didn't have a choice, but you're right about Alex Thompson, and I said this yesterday, that guy has actually done some reporting, and he might have been one of the first guys, certainly on that side of the media equation, to do that. But how he would even want to be associated with Tapper, I guess because he's got a name, it's just so the way I led into this. Do you think anyone outside of Fox and some of us talk radio hosts will highlight this hypocrisy? I mean, Bill Maher should for sure.
Maybe some people will. I'm cautiously optimistic it will, because as soon as the book announcement dropped earlier this week, it's not that it surged in advanced sales because everybody was eagerly anticipating it. It was because the open mockery of it on Twitter X was off the charts.
Right.
I mean,
maybe that's what they wanted.
Everybody instantly lampooned it.
Well, maybe that's what they wanted. If you come from the Donald J. Trump school of no publicity is bad publicity, maybe there was some marketing genius in that we're not aware of.
Right. So if you're Alex Thompson and you're asking why does he hook up with Jake Tapper here, maybe one of the reasons why is because you at least know going in there's going to be a lot of attention put on that book that otherwise might not have been there.
So on one more media topic, on the White House Correspondents Association throwing a little hissy fit, including Jackie Heinrich, who's on that board over at Fox. She didn't like some of these changes either. And her warning is, you won't like this when the Democrats take over because they're going to pick and choose which media is in that room as well. Well, by the way, they've done that
already did.
Yeah, they did it 4 years ago, so that's not exactly breaking news. And,
right.
I used to support media organizations pre-2016 when I believed that the enemy of the people was not the media, but I no longer believe that, unfortunately, and it's sad.
It is sad, and yes, you are seeing a new environment where the White House that comes in, whoever the White House is going to politicize everything. I don't see us putting that genie back in the bottle anytime soon. As far as media, if there was some media curiosity, if there was actually journalistic curiosity going on today right now, wouldn't you think there would be somebody hanging around outside the New York field office of the FBI trying to find out where those documents are and if the D.C. Bureau has gotten a hold of those Epstein files that they just decided not to comply with a direct order by Pam Bondi, the Attorney General? Wouldn't you think that there would be some reportage of why the FBI bureau in New York didn't respond, and what names of the heads of the agencies are not complying with direct orders?
Absolutely. By the way, along those lines, I'm glad you brought that up because I don't know how long ago this was, but Kash Patel said this on the Epstein files. We're told that they're going to be released, right? But he said the FBI is entering a new era, one that will be defined by integrity, accountability, and the unwavering pursuit of justice. There will be no cover-ups, no missing documents, no stone left unturned, and anyone from the prior or current bureau who undermines this will be swiftly pursued and brought to justice. If there are gaps in the Epstein investigation, we will find them. If records have been hidden, we will uncover them, and we will bring everything we find to the DOJ to be fully assessed and transparently disseminated to the American people as it should be. So we're kind of waiting on that right now, but that's the latest from
He's
Kash
got
Patel.
till 8 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if they're delivered. There's a lot of suspicion about that right now. Duane, always great to have you on. I hope things are well in your world. We'll get you back soon.
Thanks, man.
All right, take
Appreciate
care.
it.
John Lamping, Foreign Senator Lamping, coming up. We'll weigh in on some Doge politics, some Missouri politics, Tisch losing the mayor's race. Will that happen? All that, plus an audio cut of the day, and more.
Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Good news. Crews have cleared that accident westbound 270 east of 170. All lanes are now getting by. Unfortunately, there was such a jam behind it, it's going to take a while to unwind. Now, crews are still on the scene of the accident westbound 70 past 79. Left lanes are blocked there and the left shoulder. and we have a jam behind that one. It goes back almost to 370. Heavy traffic southbound 270, and most of the heavy stuff is on either side of Olive. Then some moderate volume that stretches down near Gravois. We've got westbound 6440 really jammed tonight. Before you even get to Kings Highway, it is a slow go, and it's from there pretty much all the way on out past McCausland. We've got a little bit of a slow pocket just west of the inner belt. Well, now an accident on 170 at the Forest Park Parkway. Watch for that on the right shoulder. And southbound, there's definitely some slow-moving traffic behind it. Northbound 170 jams. There's an accident north of 70 reported. Westbound 70 slowing at Jennings Station Road. Eastbound 44 jammed, headed for the bridges downtown. 44 westbound slowing in front of the Arch. Volume in both directions on the Poplar Street Bridge, and the usual volume on southbound 55 in the construction zone, south of Arsenal through Revis Barracks. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
All right, guys, I'm here to help you. This is what I do. I think Sue would agree. I help people. I help them, right?
Yes.
I'm a giver, Sue, is what I'm trying to say. I want to guide you into Game Day Men's Health, though. And I'm being serious here because there is a difference in the quality of these clinics and services. We're talking about low testosterone treatment and some other things that they do. They have great medical weight loss therapy, vitamin therapy, some ED treatments that are very unique. I was not even familiar with them. They can walk you through all that. But it's a great private environment. They have 3 locations in the area. I went and saw Matt and the team out in Chesterfield, right off of Highway 40 in Clarkson. And they have locations in O'Fallon, Missouri, and Glen Carbon, Illinois as well. One of the things that's different, there's a lot of things that are different about Game Day. It's an all-inclusive pricing situation. It includes all the medicine and supplies and the follow-up visits, all the consultations. You're not going to get added fees or extra charges. They make it very simple. You can take the medicine at home if you prefer, or you can go back in to the office. And the office is great, so you might want to do that. He's got a great team, Matt does, at Game Day Men's Health. Again, 3 locations. Check them out today. It's an hour in and hour out, and it's a free PSA test and testosterone test. So go in there, get your first visit, check them out, see what you think. O'Fallon, Missouri, Glen Carbon, Illinois, Chesterfield, right by Highway 40 and Clarkson Road. Get back to the top of your game with Game Day Men's Health.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friends at Triton Exteriors, specifically my friend Tim Nesbitt, who is the owner. He is from the customer service business, 20 years in the restaurant business. So the answer is yes. What's the question? Anything you need. Hospitality, personal service. We're upscale. We're a James Hardy company. Roofing and siding and gutters and great value. Tim just texted me and he beat the next closest bid by $15,000 just this week. You can call 314-717-1159 or triton-stl.com.
You want to retire soon, but everyone keeps telling you to wait until you're 65. After all, that's the age that you qualify for Medicare and you're close to full retirement age. I'm Marvin Mitchell, president of Compass Retirement Solutions. In my new book, Retire Early, the 9 critical decisions when retiring before 65, I discuss proper planning to help make early retirement possible. When to take Social Security, what to do with your 401k, health care, how to maximize retirement income, and much more. Get a complimentary copy of Retire Early by calling 1-800-743-8510. That's 1-800-743-8510. Can you retire early? Call 1-800-743-8510 for your copy of Retire Early, the 9 critical decisions when retiring before 65.
Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois. Compass Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.
This is attorney Todd Nissenholtz of Kaufman Tonsley. When you're the victim of a serious car accident, not choosing the best lawyer will cost you. It costs you time, it costs you money, settling too quickly with the insurance company. But here's the good news. Since you don't pay unless we win, you can afford the very best, and that's Kaufman Tonsley. Call 314-500-5000 for a no-charge conversation. It costs you nothing to call, but may cost you everything if you don't. Call 314-500-5000.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air.
97.1 is excited to welcome Brian Kilmeade back to St. Louis.
Hi, everyone. Brian Kilmeade here. I have great news. I'm going to be joining all of you in St. Louis.
Be a part of this event.
March 22nd, St. Louis. You're going to love it.
Get tickets at briankilmeade.com.
Reardon Roundtable tomorrow. We got Jane Duker on the panel, Donna Behringer on the Democrat side, David Bartlage on my side of the table. In the 4 o'clock hour, Paul Hall on entertainment will hook up with Cusimano as we take you into the weekend. And I'm very excited. I do a lot of music stuff on Fridays, and this one may be a little self-indulgent. Jennifer Otter Beckendike, who has written a book called Eternal Flame on the Bengals. I was a big Bengals fan back in the 80s. I actually met and interviewed them at a show at Kemper Arena around about 1984. Cyndi Lauper was the opener, and it was, oh man, I had such a crush on Susanna Hoffs. Who didn't back in the day? Prince certainly did. That's why he gifted her Manic Monday. John Lamping, former state senator, is with us. John and I share a lot of musical stuff. Were you a Bengals fan or not?
Not so much, but I have to say the bumper music today has been off the charts. You know, it's really strong when you come with 2 Knack songs on the same day.
How about that? I got a couple of things here that are fun. I had Bread, David Gates today. I've just gotten in a mood this week with some throwback songs for sure. Well, let's talk a little Doge. And let me start with this, John. I haven't heard this entire bite. I found this on X, formerly Twitter, just a short time ago. Some testimony that took place today on the Doge subcommittee from Greg Roman on USA Aid.
So, Mr. Roman, to the issue at hand, how do we make sure when we get our foreign aid back running that we don't give money to terrorists? That's a great question.
So there's 4 recommendations that I would offer. The first is no more miscellaneous listings, as we had heard from the gentleman before. We have to use public vetting processes that require complete transparency, encourage independent audits, and mandate
Can we go
strict
back
screening.
to that? Why did we not have transparency before?
I have, for the last 18 months, been trying to get information about a grant made to what we believe is a Hamas affiliate, and the Freedom of Information Act Department, or the Freedom of Information Officer at USAID, has stonewalled me for the last year and a half.
So that goes on for a while, John, but this is specifically on the money that apparently was being withdrawn from all of our all of our taxpayers, all the paychecks being sent to Hamas and other terrorist organizations. That's just one of the little gems in this USAID fiasco.
Well, USAID it's a $60 billion annual slush fund. We're learning now where all this money went, and these monies should never, ever go to any of these things. But there's another aspect of USAID that people don't really consider. It's a place where left-leaning political types go to spend some part of their lives. You know, we're talking a lot about federal workers and them getting furloughed and all that kind of stuff. But if you're, a highly educated type of person that works in government when you're in power, what do you do when Obama's not in power anymore? Well, you go work for these non-for-profits, and $60 billion gets dispersed, but it doesn't go directly to anyone. It always goes through middle people, and that's where a lot of these government types go to work, and that's where they can make 6- and 7-figure salaries waiting for the time when they go back into government when their side's back in power.
So this is so big, though. There's so much to uncover, and I'm not criticizing it because I love what's going on right now, and I keep hoping that they're going to do more. But with this being such a huge federal bureaucracy and so many corners where they can hide this stuff, you just wonder how much in the end Elon and the team will be able to accomplish. I mean, this is a never-ending task.
Well, the Congress is just going to have to decide not to fund USAID, and I know they put that under the Secretary of State's office, which is different, which is new. So you can see where we would have some foreign aid with Secretary of State where we're leveraging that foreign aid, but I just think it has to go away. That's $60 billion a year, and the way they score these bills, that's $600 billion over 10-year period of time.
Right.
You look at I've been reading a lot more about the quote unquote Inflation Reduction Act, and the $330 billion that was supposed to go to ending climate change, and that money is not just in one place; it flows through all the agencies. Like that $2 billion that Stacey Abrams' group is supposed to get comes through the EPA. That goes back to the $330 billion that slush fund in the Inflation Reduction Act. What's gone on these last 4 years was really bad government spending to the 10th power, and that's how they were able to deficit spend at $2 trillion a year when the economy was expanding the whole time.
So how would you assess the overall start here from the last month with the Trump administration? Because, and for the listeners who don't know, and maybe for John over the years, you were very early in 2016 telling someone like me that Trump was going to win. And obviously this has taken on a different turn. As many people know, I wasn't the biggest fan of the president, certainly in the first administration. I thought that there was no chance for him to win in 2020 in 2024, just because of everything that had gone on certainly with the media and all the bias and everything, I just didn't think the hatred of him would result in what happened last year. I mean, that became apparent certainly well before the election. But still, I think some people, and I think the people on the left right now are super shocked because they live under a rock and they were watching all their media coverage. But they're continuing to label him as a dictator. Elon is an unelected bureaucrat. All this stuff, John. They don't really have much, but they keep spitting it out.
They have nothing. This is amazing. This isn't just Trump. This isn't Trump somehow getting into office. It's the most impressive cabinet in my lifetime for sure. This is the work of the Project 2025 people the last 3 or 4 years. That this plan that they're executing on. Look at the pace. The daily pace that the entire administration takes, the topics they take up. You're talking tax cuts in the morning. You're talking foreign policy over lunch. You're talking getting rid of DEI another part of the day. And this goes on day in, day out. The other side has no answer to it. And, yeah, I'm glad that the president's back in office. But quite frankly, Trump's just part of what is this administration. I enjoy hearing from the cabinet secretaries. Absolutely. And as much as I do him. And not only that, this is an incredibly impressive group of people. Somebody tweeted out Biden's last cabinet meeting where Jill ran the meeting.
Oh, yeah.
I watched the 7.5 minutes of it. It was like an old folks homeowners association coming together, and then you see Trump and his team, and it's just off the
charts. I'm glad you mentioned that because here's that's what that sounded like.
We need where the United States continues to be home to the most cutting-edge research in the world and where everyone can lead healthier lives. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's Dr. Jill. Of course, we didn't hear the complaints about Dr. Jill not being an elected member or a cabinet member when she's in there doing her rah-rah. And by the way, that doesn't say anything about the last 4 years after that cabinet meeting and what her husband was doing and who was running the show.
Well, we just have to wait for Jack Tapper to come out and explain to us how things were run and all the unelected people. I mean, it makes you really wish for Woodrow Wilson would have been in power the last 4 years. That might have been a better 4 years than the Biden years. But, the good news is that's over and this group is in. Now, I do have to say, there's some things that are on the horizon that are going to be big challenges for the administration. The debt ceiling is scheduled to get hit about March 15th. And what's being proposed in these reconciliation bills or this one big beautiful bill, there's people like you and I who are certainly fiscal conservatives. That's not going to come out fiscally conservative. And heck, if we end up doing a 1-year CR, we're just going to spend the same rate. There's something that's going to happen though this year. It's going to be a challenge by the administration that will ultimately work its way to the Supreme Court. And I'm curious what you think about this, Mark. So the way people think D.C. works is, the power of the purse is the House, and they appropriate $1 trillion for something. And so the understanding has always been, well, they're going to spend $1 trillion. Well, what the administration is going to sue for, are they're going to ask for the right to say, look, that's the cap of the spending. That you may allocate $1 trillion, but if it's not a good program, we're going to spend less. And that's a dramatic change to how money is spent. And that's where the fiscally conservative aspect of government will come, where the Congress can only pass an unbalanced budget, but maybe the administration will balance it for them. But that'll ultimately work its way to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, and it should. It sounds like that's something that the administration is interested in pressing on and getting an answer to. So I love that because we all know that this is, and we mentioned this in the last segment, it's such a shock to the swamp because they play under much different rules than everyone else.
I think the rules have been is that we're all here to make ourselves better off. We're all here to get rich. And if you don't say anything, I won't say anything. And our friends will go work for USAID, or you'll get a grant somewhere, or your wife will be, getting money somewhere, or your family will be federal employees. There's another thing about being a federal employee that I wanted to touch on too. It's driving me crazy. Is not only do they make twice the average salary of the private sector. I know your previous segment, you talked about the fact that they get pensions. Do you know that Biden they passed into law last year that all of those government employees that when they're contributing to their pensions don't pay Social Security, they don't pay Social Security tax ever, they now will receive Social Security benefits. And if they've already passed the age of retirement of Social Security, they're going to get lump sum checks to make up the difference. Do you know that? That went way under the radar.
I did not know that, and that's outrageous.
If you're a teacher, a retired teacher who doesn't pay Social Security tax but yet pays 15% of their income into their pension, they will now receive Social Security on top of their pension.
Okay, I'm going to look into that because that sounds more than a little problematic. Former Senator John Lamping is with me. Let's talk a little local politics just because the writing seems to be on the wall. I don't want to get too excited here that Tashara Jones might be on her way out the door in this election next week. Some people think that she won't make the runoff. Of course, a little different. You got to vote for several candidates. It's ranked choice voting or whatever you want to call it. But you think she's in trouble here, John? You think that at the end of the first term for Tish is it?
Well, I hope so. And it feels that way, but I'm not on the ground. I don't know, what's going on at that level in that party. But a lot of the powers that be are coalescing around her. I'd be shocked if Tish doesn't make the first round. The first round. So I think we're looking at April for the next go around. But like this whole idea of the state down in Jeff City, they're trying to bring the power of the police force back to the state away from the city. All that really matters is you have a leader. I saw a picture of Francis Slay today, and I worked with Francis when he was asking for that power back. The city really needs a strong leader. I met Kara on the roundtable with you a few years ago, and I've got to know a little bit, but I just think we need a positive change, and she could very well be that.
So I saw some numbers yesterday where I tweeted this out. The Kara Spencer's PAC dropped $330,000 to take Tish out. The PAC for Jones deployed just $53,000. And I guess there was another 26,000, but still the numbers are way off. You know how this works. Usually if you outspend someone, you win the race.
Yeah, incumbency is important though too. But around the country, these kind of crazy left-leaning mayors have lost. The incumbents have lost. So I think that trend looks like it's ready to continue.
Anything that you're paying attention to in Jeff City right now? I went up there a couple weeks ago, had a chance to visit. It was a snow day, so nobody was there, but I did sit down with Mike Kehoe and the Attorney General, Andrew Bailey. John, it had been a while since I'd been up there. I don't know, when you were there, did they have the one men's room where there was no door on the Rhymes with Hitter? Because I got a picture of that. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, there's some strange things about that building. It's an old building, and some are lobbying for further repair. But I think that this session is going to end up being pretty quiet. I was talking about there's this bill that Monsanto/Bayer is pushing to get immunity for Roundup suits essentially, and I think that has a great potential of clogging things up. Keogh would probably be happy with getting through this session without any great things happening or any bad things happening. Of course, what is in the back of everyone's mind is the fact that the money's not going to be the same going forward. The budget bill that got out of the House last week, in that budget bill is not cutting Medicaid, but the allocations to the states, the 90-10 allocations to the states are look like they're going to go away, where the state only has to pay 10% of Medicaid. And, we passed that constitutional amendment that Medicaid is a right. So the ability of the General Assembly to change Medicaid, who qualifies for it, is very limited as per that constitutional amendment. So I think it's going to be a pretty low-key session. And, thank God it's almost halfway done. And I think that would suit Keogh just fine, because I think there's going to be some fiscal challenges in the state they haven't had for quite some time.
So just to put the, because this stuff could certainly have listeners' eyes roll over when you start talking about the state budget, but these numbers are certainly important. So we're talking about about $50 million budget for the state of Missouri at this point?
Yeah, and so much of that came from Medicaid expansion and the fact that
that's my point.
So much of the Medicaid, the cost of Medicaid was coming from the federal government. And like I said before, when we had to go through the constitutional amendment process, we made it a right. It's going to be very problematic. And another big part of it was just specific to COVID relief, and then some infrastructure spending. But I think that no one's had to deal. Parson had the perfect time. He had the Chiefs win the Super Bowl twice, and he had the budget double in his time in office. So I don't think Keogh's going to be so lucky.
Yeah, there's going to be some challenges. I think he's up to the task, though. Hey, Senator Lamping, great to have you on. I appreciate it. What's your level of excitement when it comes to baseball right now, just out of curiosity? On a scale of 1 to 10.
Not the Cardinals so much, but I follow baseball closely, and I'm more excited about fish fry roundtables. That's a tradition. I've always had a chance to come visit with you during the fish fries. And what's that? Starting in a couple of weeks, right?
It starts next Friday. We're in the city next week. Fred will get with you because we like to plan the schedule where it's a little bit more convenient for those of you, depending on where you live. So he'll get in touch with you soon, and we'll see you at a fish fry, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, thanks, John. Appreciate it. Audio cut of the day coming up.
Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
I always like Brian Adams. All right, on the roads, we had the accident cleared westbound 70. Did you hear that? That was me shocking my lip.
I did hear it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that on the microphone?
Yeah.
Be careful
That
out
wasn't
there.
great. Westbound 70, they cleared that accident at 79. There's some volume behind that. We've got southbound 270 still lined up approaching Olive down through Manchester. 6440 is still lined up approaching Kings Highway out past McCausland. Eastbound 44 jams at 55. There was some heavy traffic westbound on 364 at 94. And if you're headed into Illinois, it's a little bit better, but still a slow go on the Poplar Street Bridge westbound. Eastbound, some moderate volume. And southbound 55 has slow pockets south of Arsenal down through Revis Barracks. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
I had a friend reach out because I was talking about, Eternal Flame, the Bengals book. We're going to have the author on tomorrow night. My friend Jim Gwinner reaches out and says, I saw that this is what the text says. We were kind of talking about this stuff earlier, Sue. I saw the Bengals open up for Mr., and Hannibal in 1986. I'm like, in other news, who the F is Mr., and Hannibal? Have you gotten it?
Oh, Mr. I know.
In Hannibal.
Oh, in
That's what he meant.
Hannibal.
I was losing, but yeah, he saw Mr. in
Okay.
Hannibal. Now it makes sense.
Kyrie.
But when
Liaison.
that's right. Look
That's
at that.
right.
That's a great video too. All right, let's talk about flooring. And we had so much fun. We really did have fun, my family, putting together this flooring project with Mike Reynolds and his team at Michael's Flooring Outlet. You can have a lot of fun too. One of the things that I always say about Michael's is the level of expertise, the passion, the energy that they bring to these projects. If you have a room that needs new carpeting, you have a room that you want to pull the carpeting out like I did, put some hard flooring in, they've got you covered. Get some samples for free up online at igotfloor.com or swing into one of the 3 beautiful locations with all kinds of options, products that will fit your lifestyle, and the experience from the people that work for Mike. He started in this business when he was very young. The experience that they have is not like what you're going to get at a big box store. It's exactly the opposite. Put the trust in Michael's. igotfloor.com, 3 great locations, Darden Prairie in Old Town St. Peters and in West County on Olive.
Do you ever wonder if you've saved enough to retire? Discover how you could make your money go a lot further in retirement in a 3-hour adult education class called Retirement Planning 101. Hey guys, it's Dave Glover here. This one-night class is taught by a fiduciary advisor from Financial and Tax Architects with decades of financial planning experience, and they're held at colleges and libraries throughout St. Louis. You'll learn about reducing your taxes, maximizing your Social Security, paying for health care, and more. There's no cost. We would ask that you bring 3 canned goods that we're going to pass on to the St. Louis Crisis Nursery. So you have 2 jobs when it comes to retirement, in my humble opinion. One is saving the money, putting it away. And then the other, just as important, is how do you take it out and what do you do with it after that? Find out at Retirement Planning 101. Simply call 314-350-8110. Again, no money necessary. 314-350-8110. 350-8110.
Window Nation customers have been singing our praises for years. With fast, local service and an industry-leading 96% customer satisfaction rating, it's no wonder.
I researched window companies for the last year to see what the average prices were and the quality of work. Window Nation nailed both.
Get 50% off all windows, plus no interest or payments for 2 years. Hurry, this offer ends soon. Schedule a free estimate now. Call 866-90NATION or visit windownation.com. That's 866-90NATION.
Life is challenging and ever-changing. Take control with passive income through real estate investing. Learn how, learn now. Let Del Walmsley and Lifestyles Unlimited's investors and mentors show you. Meet Del's team and get educated now at Lifestyles Unlimited. Text the word radio to 88007. That's radio to 88007. Join for just $297. Lifestyles Unlimited. Text radio to 88007. That's radio to 88007.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
Friday, you've heard about the Second Amendment Preservation Act, but police chiefs don't like it. We'll talk to Chief Steve Lewis at 8:35.
The Mark Cox Morning Show, weekdays from 5 to 9, right here on 97.1 FM Talk. Broadcasting what most people are afraid to say, Mark Reardon.
Yeah, I'm braver than anybody. That's basically what that one said, for sure. Reardon Roundtable coming up tomorrow. We're going to talk with our panel. Jane Duker will be here. Also, Donna Behringer, who's running for office in the city of St. Louis before Election Day. This will be her last appearance. David Barklage will be here on my side. Then we'll do all the fun stuff, Sue, on a Friday. Paul Hall with some entertainment recommendations. Cusimano, as we take into the weekend, we'll talk Blues hockey, Mizzou basketball, Illinois and SLU as well. And then I'm very much looking forward to Jennifer Otter Beckendike, who's the author of a new book called Eternal Flame, on the band The Bangles. So that's coming up in the 5 o'clock hour tomorrow. Let's do this.
Stand by. Playback ready.
Now, the audio cut of the day.
Okay, I'm going to return to a little theme here that I had at the beginning of the show, because some of the unhinged responses, I mean, honestly, they don't even make sense. So we'll kind of pair some of these together, like AOC.
Elon Musk is not a scientist. He is not an engineer. He is a billionaire con man with a lot of money. He does not have this kind of good background.
What? She didn't even say that. Isn't, when you say billionaire,
isn't that rich?
When you say, like, you say a lot of money, isn't that a little redundant, AOC?
Yeah.
It doesn't get any better from J.B. Pritzker.
The things that I'm speaking out about now, about the threat to our democracy, this is not a message to win elections on. It's something people need to know. The prices at the grocery store are going up because democracy is being taken away.
Wait, what? I mean,
and ask him how that will happen, and he can't answer.
See, that's the thing. I don't have that audio. I don't have the legacy reporters following up with JB saying, what in the hell are you talking about? Because that makes no sense whatsoever. But this has to be the highlight. There's no doubt about it. Scott Jennings on the CNN panel with Abby Phillips and this Toure guy. He used to have a show on MSNBC. And then there's a woman named Alicia Johnson who was in the Harris campaign. That should tell you everything you need to know there.
Be real for a moment that Doge is not about cutting money, right? It's not about spending. It's about shrinking government so that it'll be too small to stop Trump with whatever else is in this plan.
Why would the government stop Trump? Isn't he the head of the government? You're saying the government would be too small to stop Trump. If Trump's the president, why would the government, the bureaucry, be actively trying to stop him?
Yeah, they don't have an answer for this.
He is shredding the Constitution and creating an authoritarian dictatorship. That's why.
No matter who is in office, I'm going to hold them accountable. But more importantly, I'm going to make sure the government is working for the American people.
Both of you all made an interesting point, which is that your view is that Trump is shredding the Constitution. I'd like to hear more about that.
Me too.
But that it seems to me that you all both believe that the unelected part of our government, the bureaucracy, has a responsibility to resist the political leadership. Is that your view?
That's not actually
That's
what
not
we
at
said.
all
We
what I
said they are
said. Yeah, it is.
upholding the Constitution, the principles of the Constitution.
Yeah, so what's happening is Jennings is literally reading their words right back to them. That Alicia Johnson, who was with the Harris campaign, did you hear what she said? She wants to hold people accountable. Did she pay attention to what happened when the woman she worked for was in the White House for the past 4 years? Because I don't think so.
How is Trump shredding the Constitution?
My God, he's like,
I mean, seriously, do we have to give you a civics lesson?
That's a great answer right there. How is Trump shredding the Constitution? They can't answer.
No.
The only thing they said was, do we need to give you, that's what Chira said, do we need to give you a civics lesson?
I don't know.
We put all power in the executive
How is
branch.
holding the
The legislative branch, the FBI, now we're in control of the military, we're silencing media.
Wait for it.
This is what you do in a dictatorship.
Are you suggesting that the president is not the commander-in-chief of the military?
I am suggesting that the president is going to put in charge somebody who is going to contravene the Constitution. And at some near point, this conversation will look very silly for you because it will be obvious. And right now, you're gaslighting. But when we get to the actual rubber of the road of this, it will be clear.
I'm interested in this conversation. He's going to put someone in charge who will contravene the Constitution. Like who? What do you mean by that? The president is in charge of the military, is he not? You said he's going to put someone in charge of the military?
The president is in charge of the military.
Abby Phillips finally had to get in and say, okay, Scott is smoking Toure. Toure has no idea what he's saying. Why did we bring this guy back? Because he was on MSNBC. No one's seen him for a decade. Why the hell did we put him on a panel? We have no ratings to begin with at CNN. And I spoke with Mr. Jennings this morning, and he said of all of the panels that he's been on, that may have taken the cake for the dumbest comments ever. ever on CNN. And by the way,
bold statement.
That is a very, very bold statement, as we know that. And then I have to use this because we lost him today. He's been out of the spotlight for a long, long time. The legendary Gene Hackman, dead at the age of 95.
If you put your effort and concentration into playing to your potential to be the best that you can be, I don't care what the scoreboard says at the end of the game. In my book, we're going to be winners. Okay?
Man, you know what? I think I'm going to watch that movie.
Right?
If I don't watch it tonight, I'm going to watch it sometime this weekend. I would highly recommend The French Connection. I would recommend Mississippi Burning. All great movies. There you go, Gene Hackman. Unfortunately, dead at the age of 95. We'll talk tomorrow at 3 for the Roundtable.
If you missed anything, podcast The Mark Reardon Show at 971talk.com. Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
On the roads, I'll tell you what, we've had so much more volume these last couple of weeks than we have in a while. And it's still happening on southbound 55. Slow pockets south of Arsenal down through Revis Barracks. Westbound 6440 is jammed approaching Kings Highway out past McCausland. There's volume westbound on the Poplar Street Bridge. A jam eastbound 44 at 55 and westbound at 44 in front of the Arch. Southbound 270, that slowdown at Olive remains. But westbound 70, it's only moderate volume past the airport and out at 79. This report brought to you by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, 99 years. That's how long Overhead Door Company of St. Louis has been repairing and replacing garage doors for savvy homeowners. From same-day garage door repair 24/7, call Overhead Door Company of St. Louis or schedule online, overheaddoorstlewis.com. That's overheaddoorstlewis.com. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your